All right, Ji. So finally, we are starting with modern India today, and चलो सब खुश हैं. खुशी का कारण क्या वो कोई नहीं बताएगा जब मैं पूछूंगा तो. एंड मॉडर्न इंडिया में गुड मॉर्निंग, वॉइस इज नॉट ऑडिबल, वीडियो एज वेल. वाहेगुरु तेरा ही आसरा है. अब आ गई आवाज भी और वीडियो भी गाइस. आई होप ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट्स आई एम नाउ ऑडिबल टू एवरीवन. ग्रेट. ओके. और यार बातें बंद कर दो एक सेकंड. लेट मी टॉक टू ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट्स फॉर अ सेक. Is there anyone in the online class who is totally against the use of Hindi language or me being bilingual for a while in the class? Hi Shreya and everyone. Anyone who is totally against the use of Hindi? Sir, Hindi ठीक है. ओ यार blank screen, मैं अभी screen के आगे आया नहीं. Don't worry. Bilingual, please do check. No sir. Very good. Wonderful. Chalo, done है. So how many of you are comfortable with modern India as a component? How many of you are comfortable with modern India? कुछ पढ़ा हुआ है, सुना हुआ है, कुछ आता है, comfortable हो थोड़ा थोड़ा? Very good. अब issue ये है यार, देखो, when I talk about this component of modern India, it is one of the most important topics for your paper 1 in GS mains, and in pre as well. We get around 7 to 15 questions every year, right? Depending on the quantum of question, minimum 7, maximum 15. But in the recent times, something new happened, and the syllabus of history for GS increased to some extent. Now, what that something that happened is Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. While that Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav was celebrated, there were so many names that came to the limelight. Now we have to add those names into our lectures. Without that, it will not be suffice to complete the syllabus. This is 1. 2, the other important thing here that we need to keep in our mind. Now, it is more about the subaltern approach to study and understand history. Now, how many of you understand the subaltern approach? देखो, there are 2 ways through which we can study history, any subject though, but particularly history. One is called top-down approach and other is bottom-up approach. Now, when I say top-down approach, I talk about some very prominent names like leaders. For example, I talk about Mahatma Gandhi led civil disobedience movement. It is one leader who is leading it, and then other people have been eclipsed by his personality. So it's a top-down approach. I study with the name of a very prominent leader, and I try to decode the events without knowing who were doing what. So we all know that it was Mahatma Gandhi who led that salt satyagrah from which place to which place? He started from Sabarmati Ashram, came to Dandi, and then broke the salt law, and it was civil disobedience. Now, if I try to do the bottom-up approach, I come to know that there were so many other leaders. For example, in Kerala, there was K. Kalappan who led another salt satyagrah. In Tamil Nadu, there was C. Rajgopalacharya who led another satyagrah, salt satyagrah. Somebody in Assam led the salt satyagrah in Nakholi. So there were so many leaders. There are so many obscure names about whom I know nothing. Now, if I know at least 1 or 2 of these kind of events and persons, then any question that comes in exam becomes very easy to solve. Otherwise, what happens most of the time is, out of the 4 given options, I am sure about 1 or 2. But for the remaining 2, I am totally into oblivion. If somehow I come to know about the third, 99% my answer is solved. Right? So this batch is going to be a different batch. So far, I have been teaching through routine books like Bipin Chandra, Shekhar Bandyopadhyay, and books like that, Sumit Sarkar Sirs and other books. But this year, I have, for this batch specifically, I have incorporated the entire component of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav in my notes itself, so that you are not required to read additional things. Fine. So because it is additional, it may take some additional time as well, because I have to add few events, I have to add few new personalities, and then integrate them as well. But for few things you have to understand and know hue and cry, know crying at all. We have a time frame for the batch, and it is not just for our purpose, it is more about you guys. Because if we will not finish the batch in time, then how will you get the time to revise? But that again doesn't mean that we can cut the grass in the class. So if I have allotted, let's say 21, 22 lectures to modern India, and now the syllabus has increased, I cannot ask my team to give me 25, 26 lectures. Otherwise, every teacher will start demanding more lectures. And then the course that is to be finished in 11 and a half months may stretch to 13 to 14 months. And the first person who will be jumping over the cliff in front of me will be Mohit. वो तो कह रहा है इकोनॉमिक्स में मुझे 70 लेक्चर दे दो, उसका क्या है ना सर, मैंने तो 70 भी पूरे नहीं पढ़े, फिर वो ऐसे रोएंगे सर सारे। तो उसका मैंने सोल्यूशन ये निकाला है, इफ माई पेस एट योर कन्वीनियंस, आई कैन नॉट जस्ट रश विद द सिलेबस ना कि मैं फास्ट फास्ट पढ़ा दूं, तुम्हें समझ भी नहीं आया। वी हैव टू डिस्कस द थिंग्स, यू विल हैव योर डाउट्स, यू विल आस्क, वी विल डिस्कस, and there is so much to it. So if my pace is not keeping match with the pace at which this batch should have been ideally finished, so either 1 or 2 Sundays we can keep additional. Not every Sunday, 1 or 2 Sundays we can keep additional. If not agreeing for Sundays, I can understand. कुछ पीजी के स्टूडेंट्स हैं जिनको perhaps घर जाना है, किसी ने अपने सोचा होता है कि संडे को सारे कपड़े धोने हैं. There are so many things. I remember while I was in Delhi, हमारा भी यही हाल होता था कि खुद ही कपड़े धोने हैं, सब कुछ करना है, तो संडे ही होता था ले दे के एक. तो अगर ये है तो फिर ऐसा कर लेंगे, बीच में कुछ दिन, लेट्स से 6-7 डेज, हम क्लास का टाइमिंग 10:30 स्टार्ट करके 2:30 तक रख लेंगे, बीच में ब्रेक 5-7 मिनट की एक्स्ट्रा कर लेंगे, ताकि 1-1 घंटा 5-7 दिन मिल जाए, तो मेरे 2-3 लेक्चर्स पूरे हो गए. डन. Day 1 एग्रीमेंट डन. पुरानी एक किताब में एक मैंने एक चीज पढ़ी थी, वो एक हिंदी मूवी में आई थी, भारत माता तुझे कुछ नहीं आता. तुम कुछ भी प्लान ले आओ, उसका तोड़ निकल ही आता है कोई ना कोई. इसके ऊपर बाद में डिस्कस करेंगे. एंड बिफोर आई स्टार्ट नाउ विद द टॉपिक, पिंकी, one particular problem you came up, I gave you a solution, we'll discuss it in the class today. How much did it help you? Pinky came to me and she was quite disturbed because she used to make a plan for her every day, but was not able to fulfill her like plans for the day. If she thought I will complete this or I will study for these many of hours, she couldn't keep pace with it. Then she came and confessed this to me as if I was sitting in church as father. So it was a very humble submission, and I gave her a solution. I said, whenever you make a plan in the day, सुबह बैठी हो, तुमने सोचा आज मैंने 8 घंटे पढ़ना और ये पढ़ना है, उसी टाइम पे उसको लिखोगी और मुझे व्हाट्सएप कर दोगी, और जब तक वो अचीव नहीं होगा तब तक बैठी रहना, और जब अचीव होगा उसके बाद मुझे दोबारा मैसेज करना, इट्स डन. अब कल उसका मुझे 5 दिन के बाद पहले दिन उसका मुझे मैसेज लेट हो गया, तो आई जस्ट टेक्स्ट हर बैक कि वेयर इज योर प्लान फॉर द डे. So if you are habitual to fulfill your commitments, I will be standing at your beck and call. वो चाहे फिर कोई भी हो, बट एफर्ट तो तुम्हारे ही रहेंगे ना. अब ये तो नहीं हो सकता कि मैं तुम सबको खुद ही फोन करने शुरू कर दूं, मुस्कान बेटा पढ़ रहे हो ना, सब ठीक चल रहा है ना, वो तो पॉसिबल नहीं है. तो तुम लोगों को अगर मेरे से कोई भी हेल्प चाहिए होगी, है ना, एक्सेप्ट मनी, वो तुमने मुझे देनी होती है. उसके अलावा जो तुम्हें चाहिए, आई एम ऑलवेज एट योर बैक एंड कॉल, बट यू हैव टू बी प्रोएक्टिव टू आस्क फॉर हेल्प. अब मुझे कॉरिडोर में घूमता हूँ, कोई परेशान लगता है, मैं खुद ही पूछ लेता हूँ कि यार क्या हो गया, कोई हेल्प चाहिए बता दो. तब भी मैं ये कहता हूँ एक्सेप्ट मनी, क्योंकि उसका भी एक कारण है. एक बच्चे ने मेरे से पैसे लिए थे, नीचे सिगरेट पी रहा था, मुझे बड़ा दुख हुआ था. ही टुक मनी फ्रॉम मी, कि सर घर से पैसे ने, मुझे पीजी के पैसे देने हैं, प्लीज मुझे 5,000 दे दो. मैंने दे दिए थे, वो नीचे खड़ा सिगरेट पी रहा था. उस दिन मैंने कसम खा ली थी, आज कोई किसी को पैसे नहीं दूंगा, कि मेरे पैसों से हवा का प्रदूषण और लंग्स का सोल्यूशन नहीं हो पा रहा. चलो लेट्स स्टार्ट. आज के दिन में व्हाट वी गोना डू, आई विल ब्रिंग यूरोपियंस इन योर क्लास. वास्को डी गामा विल अराइव टुडे, एंड बाय अबाउट 1:10-1:15 इंडिया विल बी इंडिपेंडेंट. डन. तो आज पूरा एक फ्लो चार्ट बनाते हैं मॉडर्न इंडिया का, दैट हाउ द इवेंट्स अनफोल्डेड. फिर 1 by 1 वी विल डिस्कस एवरी इवेंट इन नेक्स्ट 20 लेक्चर्स. फाइन. और in case while I am making this flow chart, I am giving you logics to correlate the things, integrate them. Wherever you have any doubt, you have every right to intervene, ask. You can ask me to repeat 10 times, but make sure that you ask only rational questions. Nobody will ask me hypothetical questions as it happened in the previous class. Sir, if Mahatma Gandhi was not non-violent, then what would have happened? How can I tell? If Mahatma Gandhi was not non-violent. And you know one thing, Mahatma Gandhi in his book, My Experiment with Truth, he confessed that one fine day he was so upset with the mother of India. If he's father of India, national father, father of nation, then Kasturba is mother of the nation. So he said, I was so upset with your mother of the nation, I started beating her like anything. Danda chak ke kutti si na main. And it was a reason he asked Kasturba, let's go to the locality of untouchables and we will clean their toilets, so that people should understand that how difficult that thing is and how important that thing is in life. So we should go and do the same thing. And Kasturba told that I am from a high caste, I cannot do this. Bapu ne main chakki dang te siddhi kiti. And then she never said no to anything. So I made sure that my wife must read these lines. एक बारी डांग चकनी हुंदी बस, उस तो बाद सब सीधा रहंदा है. But then my wife said, अब तुम भी गांधी बन जाओ. उसके बाद सब अपनी वाइफ की बात मानते हैं. So guys, first of all, tell me one thing. From where should we start this topic of modern India? Any specific date that you can tell me that this is the convenient date from which we should start? 1498, the year when Vasco da Gama came. Done. ये तुम्हारे लिए है. और कोई? Any other date from which we can start this modern India? 17? What happened in 1750? Okay, I don't know what happened. मेरे पास इसके लिए कोई इवेंट नहीं है स्पेसिफिक, बट मान लिया अभी के लिए. और कोई साल तो बोलो यार. देखो, there are different books, right? There are different books. For example, one book will say it started in 1600 with the formation of East India Company. Someone says it started in 1707 when Aurangzeb died. And after this, the weak Mughals came, right? Then someone says it started after 1757 when Battle of Plassey was won by the British. Then some other people say it started from 1857 when that revolt happened, right? And some of the historians call it from 1885 when Indian National Congress was born. Now, if I pick up book by R.C. Majumdar, it starts from this date. If I pick up book old NCRT by Bipin Chandra Sir, it starts from this date. If I pick up Shekhar Bandyopadhyay's Plassey to Partition, it starts from this date. If I pick up that main book by Bipin Chandra Sir, Penguin Publication, it starts from this date. If I pick up that book, Sumit Sarkar Sir's book, Modern India, it starts from this date. That means no two historians have a common idea from where modern India should start. Now, if I think this would be the date, as you said, even the Mughals have not yet arrived in India. Mughals will come in 1526 with the first battle of Panipat. So, abhi to Mughals hi nahi aaye, right? If I pick up this date, for next 150 more years, the Mughals are to rule India, because in 1857, Bahadur Shah Zafar is the I know there is, that screen has gone blank, Shrey. I know that. Let me see why it has gone blank. Let me call, nahi, ho gaya, theek. So dates are not important. When you will look at the past year paper, you will yourself realize that they seldom ask a question on a date. Very seldom, not more than out of 100 questions asked in last 10 years, not even one question is specifically on date. What they ask you is the chronological order. कि पहले कौन सा इवेंट हुआ, फिर कौन सा इवेंट हुआ. They will never ask you a question on date. तो dates के रट्टे मारने की जरूरत ही नहीं आज के बाद. After 10 classes, I will tell you a way how you have to make a flow chart. वो 10 classes के बाद ही हो सकता है. Then you will make a flow chart, and out of that flow chart, your entire chronology will be easily understandable. You will be able to recall the things with much ease and comfort. Now, this is one. Two. When Vasco da Gama is coming to India, there must be a reason that he's coming to India. That reason is important for us to know, but what is the background to that reason is more important for us to know. Now, when I talk about Europe, yeah, 1 second, ruko. Why this screen is going black again and again? सुखविंदर ने कहा यार अंदर स्क्रीन बार बार ब्लैंक हो रही है, आके देखे यार। All right. So if we talk about India in ancient times, many of you have now done your AMC, right? So I hope you remember when the Hadappans were there, Hadappan civilization, they were doing some seaborne trade and they were going to trade with the Egyptians up to Red Sea and then with the Mesopotamians and others in Iraq. You remember this? There you have the trade contact. That means from the Arabian Sea, they will come towards Red Sea. So there is one route through which Indian traders were sailing in the sea, coming through the Arabian Sea, going up to the Red Sea. And here we have that Africa and here we have Egypt. So they were reaching up to the Egyptians. Now, if I reach up to Egypt through the Red Sea, here we have the Mediterranean Sea, above which we have that Europe as the continent. And from Europe, the foot is coming out in shape of Italy. So Egyptians can cross the Mediterranean and give the goods to the Europeans. So there was a contact between India and Europe from the very start. सुंदर सारे बार-बार स्क्रीन ब्लैंक क्यों हो जाती है यार? लॉजिक समझा जाओ मैंने एक बारी ताकि मैंने ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ डिस्टर्ब ना करना पे स्टूडेंट भी डिस्टर्ब ना होन. ਹੁਣ आ गई. डोंट वरी यार, स्क्रीन को अभी कंट्रोल कर रहे हैं. एंड सर प्लीज मैंने ਉਹਦਾ लॉजिक ਦੱਸ ਦਿਓ ਅੱਜ. उस कमरे भी सीगा ਤੇ ਇਸ ਕਮਰੇ 'ਚ ਵੀ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਮੇਰੀ ਪਿਛਲੀ ਕਲਾਸ ਨਾਲ ਦੇ ਰੂਮ 'ਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਸੀ. कराओ सर, फिर जल्दी ठीक कराओ और संडे का दिन तेरे को फ्री होंगे ना भेजो तो कराओ ठीक. Why should students suffer? कराओ इन्हों सर जल्दी, priority ते कराओ. All right. Now they were doing this trade and sending goods. Now imagine the times in Europe. Britain is the first country to witness industrial revolution, and this industrial revolution started from 1750-60 onwards, and we are still talking about 1400s, right? So one thing is obvious, there is no industry in Europe. Europe is a cold continent. They cannot grow many crops even because they cannot have all these crops. So their dependence on the countries where there are many crops, diversification of crops possible, they will get their food supplies from those countries. India is a very prime kind of a country for that purpose. Number two, Europeans used to eat a lot of red meat, and there are no refrigerators at that time. So how to preserve that red meat? You need a lot of spices. You will cover up the meat with spices and then you can preserve it over a long period of time. So from where they will get the spices? From eastern side, right? Now, when I say eastern side, let's try understand one more thing. If I am talking about Europe as a continent, so this is Western Europe. In Western Europe, I have Britain, France, Spain, and Portugal and other smaller countries. This is Western Europe. Then I have Central Europe. In Central Europe, I have countries like Germany, Italy, Austria. Then I have Eastern Europe. Eastern Europe, I have countries like Poland and Romania, Bulgaria, Greece, all these countries. Then I have Near East. It is Turkey, Lebanon, Syria, Jordan. Then I have, after this Near East, I have Middle East, all oil producing countries, Iran, Iraq, Saudi, Kuwait. Then I have Southeast Asia. This is India and Indian subcontinent basically. And then I have Far East. This is China, Japan, and Indonesia, all these. So all the spices and all the good things are available in this part of the world, right? Iran used to produce very superior silk, so do China. India used to produce a lot of quality cotton textile, and then spices in India and Far East. Now, if I'm sitting here, I have to come all the way to this side. Whenever we will start introducing our trade relations with them, it will be our Eastern trade. That is why East Indies companies. It is not about India. It is the Indies and the eastern side of Europe. So they are making East Indies companies, East India Company. So all of them will be making, be it Britain, be it France, be it Spain, anyone in Europe, they all will make companies to trade with India and other parts of eastern side. Now, when they have to come to this trade, for this trade, making the rough maps of the world, this will be North America, this will be South America, here we will have Africa, here we will have then Europe, and here we will have Asia with India and Australia. Now, if Europeans are sailing and they are trying to come to India, there is no direct sea route. So Europeans through Mediterranean will come to India. Egyptians through Red Sea will come to India, and same way Indian goods will reach Europe. This is one way. Here we have that China and other parts. Now, there was an old Silk route, a land route that started from China coming through India. It reached the Levant, Syria wala region, from where it connected with Europe as well. So they used to trade either through the land route or through the sea routes. If you recall a link between ancient and this trade, ancient India and this trade, while the Cholas and the Pandyas and the Cheras or the Pallavas, they were ruling this side. They basically became the middlemen. They used to get the Chinese good and they used to sell it to other parts. So that is the reason for their prosperity and opulence. That is why we have so huge temples and palaces in South. From where they used to get this money? From this trade, because they became the middlemen. That is why the Cholas controlled Bay of Bengal. It became the Chola Lake. So that any trade from this side must be monopolized by the Cholas. So India always had a very comfortable trade, and all the Indian products were in huge demand in Europe because they themselves could not produce anything. Now, trade is continuing from two sides, road as well as partially sea and partially land route. What happened in 1453, the Ottoman Turks arrived. The Ottoman Turks, they came, Salim, and they occupied a very important city called Constantinople. This city is present day Istanbul. It is on Mediterranean Sea and Red Sea. Once the Ottoman Turks, they captured this place, now they wanted to expand their territory. While they were expanding their territory, they got hold of Egypt as well. That is why how Egypt became a Muslim country. They are moving towards Eastern Europe, and even up to Rome, they are trying to invade. On this side, they are moving towards India as well. During Delhi Sultanate, it is the Muslim rule that is establishing. And then in 1400s, these Turks are coming towards India as well. So this entire region is controlled by the Ottoman Turks. The aim of the Ottoman Turks was to control the global trade so that these Eastern goods, they can first buy and then they can sell it to Europe at profits. Now that they are trying to control this route, there is constant warfare. Roz yahan ladai hai, and then this land route is totally unsafe. Because of the constant war and destruction, how can you trade on this route? So this route was abandoned for the good. Now that this route is abandoned, entire burden is on this trade. When the entire burden came on this trade, here we have the Arabian Peninsula. So the Arabs, because they all are Muslim brothers, they are one. So these Arabs monopolize the Indian trade on Asian side. Because Italy comes out of Europe as a foot, and Italy monopolized the trade on the European side. Because Italy has monopolized the trade from 1450s onwards, Italy is becoming opulent, it is becoming rich. Because Italy is becoming rich, that explains why Renaissance will start from Italy. They had the money, they could invest that money into artistic taste. So it was Renaissance and the beginning of the modern age in Europe. So when Italy monopolized it on the European side, now this part of Europe still gets the supplies. How about the corner of Europe, the Spanish and the Portuguese? They are not getting adequate supplies. Now they are in desperate need of these goods. If they try come from this side, they have to fight the Italians, and Italians are very strong at that point of time. So they thought, let's find an alternative sea route. First came that man Columbus from Spain. He came here and then turned to this side. He reached the West Indies area, the Caribbean area. He wanted to come to India, but reached here, and he thought, I have reached India. The original tribes that lived in America, they were then started to be called Red Indians. So he gave the name Red Indians to them. And then from Portugal came Vasco da Gama. He took a new route coming from the Cape region, Cape of Good Hope. He finally landed at Calicut. Now he has found a new or an alternative sea route or a complete sea route to reach India. Now he has reached India from an alternative sea route. This is a longer sea route. Now, there are many challenges, many threats. One, the threat of sea piracy, which is a very old thing. Even today, Somalia region and other regions in Africa, they are like very well popular, unpopular, or whatever you call for this sea piracy. Now you have to fight against the sea pirates. You have to experiment. What experiment will be best? For the first time on the long distance ships, the Portuguese put cannons. So they became gunboats. Now, when you are moving in the open sea, if there is any threat of piracy, you have cannons with you and you can destroy them. So you basically are becoming more powerful on navy for your trade purposes. Now you reach India. Now the other problem that you have to face is when you reach India, there are so many different rulers. You have to try and contact everyone, and you have to work out lucrative deals with them so that you can buy goods at reasonably good price, and then you can sell them in Europe at a better profit. Then another challenge, there are so many merchants within India. Then these Egyptians are trading with India. Europeans are trying to reach out to India to get all these products. You have to control this trade. Otherwise, such a long distance and such a huge expense will not be justified. So how to do this? The only option available to you is now to monopolize the trade. If you are the only buyer, then you can buy the things at reasonably cheaper rates. And if you are the only buyer and you are the only person who can bring it to Europe, you can sell it at huge profits. You can create that artificial demand and supply mismatch, right? On both the sides. Now let's take an example. All of you are sitting in India and producing textile, cotton textile. And then Egyptians are coming to you, Europeans are approaching you, Indian merchants are there, Gujarati merchants and others who are buying the products. So there is huge demand. Because there is huge demand, you can always sell your products at higher prices. Now, all of a sudden, if there is no one else coming to you and only the Portuguese, you have to sell at reasonably lesser price because nobody else is coming. Otherwise, your products will have no markets. Now, when everybody was buying it and taking it to Europe, there was huge supply of Indian goods. Because supply was adequate, the prices were stable. They were not increasing exponentially. Now that nobody else is bringing the same goods to Europe and only the Portuguese will bring them, so they can ask for higher rates because now they create the artificial lack of supply kind of a thing, right? So their profits will exponentially increase. With this increase in profits, for first 100 years, the Portuguese monopolized it. Because they came in 1498 and the British will come in 1600. So for 100 years, they monopolized Indian trade. The only mistake that they made, they became religiously intolerant in India. Wherever they were, they started destroying the temples, they started constructing churches, and then forcibly they tried to convert Indians into Christianity, because of which gradually they were becoming unpopular. Meanwhile, in Europe, all other players were now vying for this trade and they were jealous of the prosperity of the Portuguese and the Spanish empires. Spain is controlling this side. Americas, right? Latin American countries were all controlled by Spain, and the Portuguese towards the eastern side. Now, because they were having a huge profit and all were jealous of them, countries like Britain, France, they realized one thing: unless we make better, more formidable a navy than the Portuguese, how can we compete against them? So Britain first invested hugely to have the best of the best navy, and towards the end of 1500s, in 1580s, Britain defeated the Spanish Armada. The Spanish Armada was a fleet of the Spanish navy, which was considered invincible, that nobody can ever defeat the Spanish ship. Then Britain defeated them in a battle, and from that day onward, the rise of Britain as a new naval power started. Now that Britain is becoming a better navy, now Britain also wants to have the share of the trade, rather they want to monopolize the trade. Now starts a new competition, and this will explain why the Indian rulers were not bothered that why these Europeans are coming. In 1600 to 1680, in these 80 years, the British, the Dutch, the Danes from Denmark, the French, as well as the Austrian. The Austrians had a very short span in India. They did not make any impact, so usually we don't study about them. The Portuguese came first, and we have British, Dutch, Danes, and French. All of them are coming one by one to India. Now presume yourself as the Mughal emperor, whosoever were the Mughal emperors of those times. Now, because you are the Mughal emperors, you realize one thing. Whenever these Europeans come, they first come and bow in front of you. Then they bring some good gifts for you, and expensive gifts for you. And then they mean more trade to India. More trade means more prosperity to India. More prosperity means more taxes for the state. So why should you say no to any foreign trader? And you, as Akbar, Jahangir, Shah Jahan, Aurangzeb, you think you are powerful enough, and you were indeed powerful enough. You had huge armies. You had no fear of these merchants and traders. And neither of these merchants and traders ever had any political ambitions. Their only ambition was trade, and they were ready to pay as and what you demanded. If they were coming to India to buy textile or spices, the mode of payment was simple. We will not accept your currency. We believe only in our currency, and our currency is made of bullion, silver or gold. You bring pure gold or silver from Europe, give it to us and buy our products. So the balance of trade was always favorable for India. You were getting huge bullion coming to India all the way. And that is why Europe called India golden sparrow. सारा पैसा तो यूरोप का इंडिया आ जाता था, and you used to buy goods from India. Now Europeans were not happy with this kind of trade, but as long as the Mughals are strong, what other options you have? Right? So you have to come and you have to learn our languages, you have to learn our culture. How can you go and greet the Mughal emperor? Hey, you emperor. You have to go and say Zille ilahi tofa kabulo. You have to learn that now. How can you ask the people like Akbar कि भाई तू अंग्रेजी सीख ले, उसे लाहौल वाला कुवत दफा हो जाओ. वो थोड़ा तुम्हारी बातें मानेगा, तुम उसकी बात मानोगे. So British will, all these Europeans will try to please Indian rulers, Indian Nawabs. और corruption is something that is natural and global. तो ऐसे थोड़ा तो सीधा तुम अकबर से मिल लोगे जाके. पहले टोडरमल या बीरबल से मिलना पड़ेगा, वो भी गिफ्ट लेंगे. सीधा बीरबल से भी नहीं मिल सकते. ये तो नीचे से शुरू होता था ना. क्लर्क पहले लेगा, फिर असिस्टेंट लेगा, फिर सुपरिटेंडेंट लेगा, फिर असिस्टेंट सेक्रेटरी लेगा, फिर सेक्रेटरी तक बात पहुंचती होती है. अकबर तो चीफ सेक्रेटरी है, तो सबका हिस्सा आने के बाद, सबका साथ, सबका विकास होने के बाद अकबर मिलता था. ऐसे वो मिलता ही नहीं होता था. Now all these Europeans are very upset. One, they are upset that how to manage things in India, that we should not pay so much of the bribes, otherwise the profit margins shrink. Then everyone has come. Again, there is huge demand. The Indian supply is constant, so your profits will increase and their profits will shrink. इंडिया से सामान महंगा खरीदेंगे, यूरोप जाके सस्ता बेचेंगे, because now there are so many players again involved in the trade. Now Britain decides, let's monopolize the trade. For this, they first had a naval battle with Portuguese at Savali, in which Portuguese were defeated. This was during the time of Jahangir. Before this battle, the British sent a representative to meet Jahangir and sought permission to set up a factory. Right? Let us have a factory at Surat. Jahangir said no. Why? Because he thought Portuguese are a better navy. Why to annoy them? But when the British defeated them within no time, Jahangir said, Inshallah, I have already signed the documents. Your factory is on the cards. Who is stopping you? You are my best friends from today. Right? So Jahangir allowed them to have a factory at Surat. But the question here is, this is 1611-12. They are setting up a factory. And I just told you that industrial revolution started in 1760s. Then what is factory? Very good. That's a godown or a warehouse. Now, what the Europeans wanted, that on the coastline of India, they shall have their godowns. Now, there are two reasons why they wanted to have these godowns. One, whenever you buy products from India, from the hinterland, from the interiors, you will bring them to the coastal area from where they will then sail to Europe. So you need some time to first have ample of the products so that a ship full, a fleet of few ships can sail back together. ऐसा थोड़ा होगा चलो अद्धा ट्रक भेज दो, कोई गल नहीं. So they need huge quantity of goods. Only then it makes sense for trade. Then while they have got the ship from England, they are loading the goods. Is it always possible that the sea is always in a shape that you can travel? There can be cyclones, there can be anything in this part of the world. So you have to wait for a while. So let's have these godowns where we can keep our goods as safe. Now, the British asked that we want to fortify these factories. Fortify means there should not just be a four walls, there should be private security as well. Now you need to have men with guns so that they can protect against the robbers. When you want to have these security guards, is there any need to bring the whites for these security men? No, you can hire Indians. You can pay them some salary, and then you can discipline them like the European soldiers. Tell them, okay, from today you will wear a red coat, that's your uniform. This is the way British Indian army will start to be made. Indians will serve the British army because they are being employed, right? Now that you have got army to protect your factory, you have administrative jobs here, you have accounts job here, and you have security personnel here. So there are a lot of paraphernalia, a lot of staff working in a factory. Somebody is taking care of the account, somebody is taking care of the stocks of the products that have been bought or sold. Everything is taken care of. So every factory has so much of the administrative work now. One person has to be head, and that person is the president of the factory. Then gradually the British convinced the Indian kings, how can we trade in India when there is so much of the diversity of the coinage in India? Every second king has different type of coins. Now, can you please allow us a mint? Can we make our own coins here? We will promise that we will maintain the purity of the gold and silver. So they were allowed mints in these factories as well, right? Now, each factory has all these things intact. Now, on eastern coast, they have factories in Bengal, in Odisha, and Bihar and other areas. In south, they have factories in Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Telangana, Andhra. In west, they have factories in Gujarat and Maharashtra. So there are so many factories in close proximity. Now you need to better organize these factories. So on each coast, on eastern side, Calcutta will become the headquarter, Bengal. Here, Madras will become the headquarter. Here, Bombay became the headquarter. Now, because there are so many factories with presidents, this is Bombay Presidency, Calcutta Presidency, Madras Presidency. Now, how can a president be a head of a presidency? From now, you will have a governor at Calcutta, governor at Madras, and governor at Bombay. A governor is a boss to several presidents working under him. That means he look after the management of all the factories in the area. And gradually, when they win India, they made governor of Bombay as governor of Calcutta as governor general of Bengal, and then governor general of India. This is how the administrative structure evolved with the passage of time. Now, British first defeated the Portuguese. After defeating the Portuguese, the next in the race were, after Portuguese, British, Dutch, Danes, and French. Now, British have defeated the Portuguese. Then they had many battles against Dutch. The two kept on fighting, and there were like bloody massacres on both sides. Finally, the two sides decided, when other players were also becoming active, Dutch agreed that we will shift our base to Indonesia and we will trade in the spices from Indonesia. Britain will monopolize Indian trade. So this challenge was settled by making Dutch agree to go to Indonesia. Now come the turn of Danes. Danes from very start were more keen in spreading Christianity rather than focusing on the trade. Their key interest was Christianity. While they were spreading Christianity and not making much profits, so the state which was sponsoring them initially, it backed out. That if you cannot make profits, then what's the use of sending you to India and helping you settle there? Please come back. So Danes sold their Indian settlements to the British. So much money that they had invested so that they can get it back, and they left India for good. Now in the race are British and the French, and the two will have an intense competition to control India. This topic then takes us to the next topic, which is called Anglo-French struggle for supremacy. Now this Anglo-French struggle for supremacy is called Three Carnatic Wars from 1745 to 1763. These are three Carnatic Wars. Between these years, they fought three Carnatic Wars, 1745 to 63. क्या हुआ? बता जल्दी बता. कुछ तो हुआ है, बताना पड़ेगा. तब तक आगे नहीं जाएंगे. अभी किसी और से भी मैंने कुछ पूछना है, उसको तो नाम लेके नहीं पूछूंगा क्योंकि उसने कुछ गलत किया, तो उन्हें तो ठीक ही किया. तो जल्दी बोल, क्या डाउट है? हाँ, फिर क्या है? सुना है कभी इस बार के? ये पूछा दी को? कोई बात नहीं. गुड गुड, वेरी गुड. अभी तुम्हें इन वॉर्स के बारे में मैं कुछ कुछ बता भी दूंगा, बट उससे पहले एक बच्चा है क्लास में, मैं उसका नाम नहीं लूंगा, मैं उसकी तरफ देख लूंगा बस एक बार. अब मुझे ये बताओ, नींद क्यों आ रही है सुबह सुबह? क्यों आ रही है नींद सुबह सुबह? यॉर्निंग तो मेरी क्लास में तुम्हें पता पाप है ना, मैं पकड़ लेता हूँ यॉर्निंग करने वालों को। आज पहला दिन है, मैं कुछ नहीं कह रहा हूँ, मैं देख भी एक बार रह के छोड़ दिया मैंने देखना, बट ये कब तक चलेगा मुझे ये बताना पड़ेगा। और वो स्टूडेंट मुझे क्लास के बाद मिलके जाएगा आज, ठीक है। अब उसको पता है वो कौन है, वो मुझे मिलके जाएगा क्लास के बाद। और एक बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट चीज तुम्हें बता देता हूं मैं, उस दिन ना मैं थोड़ा इमोशनल हो गया, तो मैंने क्लास में एक कन्फेशन किया। कौन था उस दिन उस क्लास में, तुम में से कोई था जब मैंने परसों उधर आके कन्फेशन किया, जिस दिन ज्योग्राफी की क्लास कैंसिल हुई थी? चलो आज मैं तुम्हारे साथ भी वो छोटा सा एक कन्फेशन करता हूँ। एंड इट दिस कन्फेशन इज बेसिकली टू टेल यू कि struggle is part of life and hard work is habit of life. 6 months ago I was detected with clinical depression and I am on anti-depression pills from last 6 months, and every 10 days I have to see my psychiatrist for it. Have you ever realized this in last 6 months while you are students here? I come every morning as cheerful as I can be, and every night I take antidepressant and I sleep along with a sleeping pill. Do you ever realize this? If I haven't told you this, the prescription is still on my table. So I am one such man who find it very difficult to get out of my bed every morning because I have so much of struggle in my life. But then when I enter my office, I am as cheerful, as active, as enthusiastic as anyone can be. Done? ओए, इसको क्लिपिंग में से काट देना। सारी दुनिया में मुझे राज मल्होत्रा डिप्रेशन का बीमार है। And my mom said when I said ना I'm going to a psychiatrist, कहते पागल हो गया तू? मैं क्या मम्मा, साइकियाट्रिस्ट सर पागल नहीं जाते होते, कुछ वैसे ही चले जाते होते हैं। फिर मैंने अपने साइकियाट्रिस्ट को भी बताया कि मेरी माँ कह रही थी तू पागल हो गया, कहना हमें सब पागलों का डॉक्टर ही समझते हैं। तो गाइस, यू हैव टू बी वेरी वेरी enthusiastic for success in life, otherwise it is hell difficult to survive. This life is very very challenging and we must not take it easy. बहुत सारी मेहनत करोगे लाइफ में तभी कुछ मिलेगा। देखो इसने बोला ऐसे खुलने को। तो दिस इज द कर्नाटिक रीजन बेसिकली, ठीक है, साउथ इंडिया में। नाउ व्हाट हैपेंड, द ब्रिटिश एंड द फ्रेंच दे वांट टू टेक कंट्रोल ऑफ इंडिया। द आइडिया ओरिजिनेटेड फ्रॉम द फ्रेंच माइंड and the person responsible for this idea is the French governor Duplay. He wanted a way that if in India, in any state, there is a conflict between the ruling family, in the ruling family, like let's say I am the king, I have two sons, I die, two sons are fighting. Dupleix said, I will help one of these two, and if he becomes king with my help, then he will always favor me, and I will always convince him to not allow the British to trade. And then French will monopolize the trade. So the idea to have an Indian empire is the brainchild of the French, not the British. British initially were keen only in trade, but now that their trading competitor, the French, the French are trying to get hold of India politically, and then to get maximum benefit, the British have to activate the same plan. So British were forced for this. They were not keen in this. Their interest was only trade. Now that the British and the French were in competition, so from where the story started? The story started that in Europe, not in India, in Europe, there started Austrian War of Succession. Now this Austrian War of Succession, the king of Austria died. There are two members in the family who want to be king. The French are supporting the one, the British supported the other. Now, what is the reason? What is the story? It's none of our syllabus. Even in world history, we are not covering this topic. But a very basic understanding, because Austria was the Habsburg Empire. It was a huge empire in the 1700s. It controlled parts of Italy, parts of Germany, towards Ottomans and towards Russia as well. It was a very huge empire and a very powerful empire. So whosoever will be the king of Austria will be very influential man. So if supported by France, the person supported by France becomes the king in Austria, then France will become automatically more powerful in Europe because they will then be friends. Similarly, if it is by Britain, so Britain will have an edge in European politics. So that is why they both supported the opponents. While they were fighting this war in Europe, from nowhere, the two companies who were working in India, they started fighting, right? Because our countries are fighting in Europe, we also started fighting in India. And what exactly happened? Because Britain always knew that we are more powerful as a navy. So Britain first started the naval warfare against the French and destroyed some of their ships. Now French realized that we are strong in the land. So they came and occupied the French factory at Madras, the British factory at Madras. The French army came and they occupied British factory at Madras. Now in Carnatic, Anwar was the Nawab. The British went to Anwar and they said, Hazur, with your permission, we were doing the trade and these French have now disturbed it. They have attacked our factory. It is not a challenge to us. It is challenge to your authority. And Anwar said, oh my God, so much of English. I have to now come. So Anwar sent his army to fight the French. This is called Battle of Bolo koi? Yes, Battle of Saint Tom. Now, at this Battle of Saint Tom, for the first time, it so happened that a huge Indian army was defeated by a handful of European army. The French defeated the army of Anwaruddin. And they now have Madras in their control, the French. So French are on a winning note in this battle. Then all of a sudden, this Austrian War of Succession in Europe ended. Britain won. France was defeated. The King of Britain told the King of France, "Sona band kar do." Sorry, किसी और को कह रहा था मैं. The King of Britain told the King of France कि return Madras to British East India Company. So British got back Madras because the King of France forced them, the French in India, to leave it. So first Carnatic War ended. Nobody gained, nobody lost anything. But one thing is proved: French are superior on land. Then once this all done, now what happened? The next thing, Nizam of Hyderabad and Carnatic Nawab, this man Anwaruddin. Now Anwar is a natural enemy to the French and Ali or friend to the British. Anwar is now very old and his son is Muhammad, who is not very competent. So one of the members of this family, Chanda Sahib, he is very keen that I should become the new Nawab of Carnatic. But Anwar is now friends with British and British support Muhammad. So French started supporting the claims of Chanda that we will help you become Chanda Sahib to become the Nawab of Carnatic. Meanwhile, Nizam died and two members of his family started fighting, Nasir and others. Now French supported one, British supported another. So it is Carnatic region where British and French are again fighting. This is Second Carnatic War. In this war, you know what happened? Dupleix played such a great diplomacy. He first defeated the armies of Anwar and installed Chanda as Nawab of Carnatic. So French have won in Carnatic region. Then together they came and the French won in Hyderabad as well, and they got control of Hyderabad. The British have lost their fortunes in South. Meanwhile, we find the rise of Mr. Clive. Now Clive came up with an idea how to get back these territories, and that is why he is called the hero of British Empire in India. So he undid the damage and brought back these areas under British control, and the war ended. Then what happens next? In 1756 in Europe, there started a new war called 7 Years' War. This war, 7 Years' War, again was fought between the British and the French. They were good enemies during these years. And this war was fought in Americas, in Europe, as well as in India. And in all three places, British won the war. When British won this 7 Years' War, so it was 1763 when the war ended. And this time Britain comprehensively defeated France, and the King of Britain ensured that French will have no more ambitions in India. So their political or commercial interest in India was sacrificed. Now Britain emerged the most powerful player in the game. While this 7 Year War was ongoing, it was just the beginning of the 7 Years' War, 1756-57. Both British and French were at the level play field. They both were equally powerful, equally important a player. But To the advantage of the British, British won Battle of Plassey in 1757. Right? When they won this Battle of Plassey in 1757, now they have got hold of the very, very fertile areas of Bengal from where they get extra income. With this income, they can have more soldiers. With the more stronger army, they could defeat the French forever. So the fortune of the British is they're winning the Battle of Plassey before this battle actually ended, the Third Carnatic War. So where the French consolidated and focused only on South, the British experimented in Bengal as well. So one of the historians said, "Abhi likhna mat, sunte rehna aaj, kal likhwaunga sara kuch, and I will dictate every single point to you." In modern India, I will use hardly 10% of the topics for slides. Rest, I will all dictate and explain in the class. I will only use slides where there are unnecessary facts involved. So the writer said, Dupleix, the French governor, tried to find key to India, भारत के खजाने की चाबी, tried to find key to India in South. Clive found it in Bengal. भारत का खजाना तो बंगाल में पड़ा था और वो साउथ में लड़ते रह गए, and French lost it, British won the war. Right? Now, before I come back to this map and explain you the next things, let me tell you few important things here. So 1745 to 63 is the time of three Carnatic wars, in which British outdid the French and became the only European player in the game. In between this, 1757, Plassey happened and British became more powerful because they got control over Bengal. In between this, 1761, Third Battle of Panipat happened. With this Third Battle of Panipat, now the Marathas were defeated by Ahmad Shah Abdali, Afghan invader. Now, what is so important about this battle, particularly in 1707, Aurangzeb died. He was the last of the great Mughals. Now, when we talk about great Mughals, we have Babur, Humayun, Akbar, Jahangir, Shah Jahan, Aurangzeb. They are the 6 great Mughals. और पता है तुम्हें एक बात बताता हूँ, पूरी क्लास को एक साथ, जब जिले इलाही दरबार में बैठे होते थे, अकबर हो, जहांगीर हो, शाहजहां हो, कोई भी हो, और उस दरबार में चाहे वो फिर खास दरबारी क्यों ना हो, चाहे वो बीरबल हो, चाहे वो टोडरमल हो, चाहे वो शहिस्ता खान हो, कोई भी हो, अगर कोई जम्हाई ले लेता था, ऐसे कर लेता था, तो जिले इलाही पता क्या बोलते थे, जिले इलाही के अंदर डिक्टेटर आ जाता था, जो नई फिल्म आई है, वो कहते थे। तो आज से इस क्लास में जिसने यॉनिंग की, वो बाद में मुझे भी पता लगेगा, मरा कोई नहीं है, सारे जिंदा ही हैं किसी और देश में जाके, पर यहां तो मैं करवा दूंगा। यार तुम्हें पता है, जब तुम इस तरफ कोई भी यॉन करता है, यॉनिंग इज वेरी कंटेजियस, फिर टीचर की यॉनिंग स्टार्ट हो जाएगी। और जिस दिन मैंने यॉन करते हुए पढ़ाया ऐसे, बैटल ऑफ पानीपत में ना, पता नहीं क्या हुआ था यार, कुछ हुआ था, एक मिनट ठहर जाओ, तुम पता मुझे कितनी गालियां निकालोगे, और मैं इधर सुबह नहा धो के तैयार होकर तुम्हें पढ़ाने आया, इधर सब यॉनिंग कर रहे हैं भयंकर वाली, सब लगे हुए हैं। और मुझे सबसे अच्छे वो लगते हैं जो ऐसे करते हैं, मुझे बहुत प्यारे लगते हैं यार, वो डर भी रहे होते हैं पर नींद भी आ रही होती है, करें क्या अब, ये तो पक्के वाले होते हैं ना, ये ठीक है, आंखों में पानी तक आ जाता है ना, ऐसा लगता है जैसे हिस्ट्री ने रुला दिया आज। सो व्हाट हैपेंड, मराठास बेसिकली अर्जुन कपूर वाज डिफीटेड बाय संजय दत्त, यही हुआ था ना, अर्जुन कपूर डिफीटेड बाय संजय दत्त, एंड कृति सनन बेचारी ऐसी मारी गई, ठीक तो कर रही थी काम वो। अच्छा, अब हुआ क्या, इससे तुम्हें पता चल रहा है, सर सारी फिल्में देखते हैं। अब क्या हुआ, मराठास, while Aurangzeb died in 1707, now there is a line of weak Mughals, and these weak Mughals are good for nothing. With the Mughals now becoming so weak, so effete, है ना, who could wear the Taj of Hindustan? It is Marathas. Marathas have already reached up to Attock, that is Afghanistan borders. They have already reached up to there, and you know, even the Mughal emperors have come under the protection of Marathas. Now, because the Mughal emperors have come under the protection of Marathas, the Mughals share their revenue with Marathas. चौथा हिस्सा तुम्हारे टैक्सेस का, 1/4 of the Mughal taxes were paid to the Marathas for protection of Mughal Empire. That explains why when Ahmad Shah Abdali attacked India, Afghan invader, instead of Mughals fighting, the Marathas had to come all the way. वो कहाँ दक्कन से उठ के आ रहे हैं मराठाओं की फौज लेके लड़ने के लिए, because they are obliged, they are taking revenue for this protection. Marathas were taking protection money from the Mughals. Now, if Mughals are gone, we had Marathas to rule Hindustan, to keep it safe. But in this battle, the Marathas were defeated. Now, who will bear the crown of Hindustan? There is nobody left. The ground is open for the British for their maneuvers. So defeat of Marathas made sure that there is no more competition left for the British to now politically control India or subjugate India. So this battle is very important. Empire changing battle bol dete hain. Then after this battle and end of this third Carnatic War, 1764, British won Battle of Buxar. And in this Battle of Buxar, they defeated the Mughal Emperor of India, Shah Alam II. Now imagine in 1764, the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II is defeated. The British have become the masters of Hindustan. Then why the Mughals will continue up to 1857? And we say the last Mughal Emperor is Bahadur Shah Zafar. Now I am British, you are different Indian players. Somebody is Maratha, somebody is Sikh, somebody is Rajput, somebody is Nizam, different players. All these players have only one thing in common. What is that? Be it Marathas, Rajputs, Jats, Sikhs, whatsoever you are, Nizams or whosoever, तुम सब में एक चीज कॉमन है, वो क्या है? Very sad. There was no India at that time. You all were independent kingdoms. The only thing that was common is you all have turned rebellious against the Mughals. तुम सब ने मुगलों के खिलाफ बगावत कर दी है. That means you do not recognize anybody as a central power. If today I defeated the Mughal emperor and I now claim that I am the emperor, you will equally be rebellious against me, और तुम सब मेरे ऊपर अटैक कर दोगे. और मैं तो भी ट्रेड करता हूँ, मेरे पास तो आर्मी भी नहीं है. So why to come into the limelight that now I am the ruler? Let these Mughals continue as our puppets. We will get the things done through them, and when the right opportune time will come, we will take over politically India. So this is not the right time to take over India. Let's wait. Though we have taken it over, it has already been done. But we will not acknowledge it so that the people must not understand it. By the time people will understand, there will be a revolt of 1857. Right? So British did not take over intentionally. It is called to rule from behind the smoke screen. And the Mughals are now nothing but the smoke screen for the British ambitions in India. Clear यहाँ तक? Story में sense बन गई आज थोड़ी सी ना? Logic के साथ पढ़ रहे हैं. अब next topic. Now that the British have got control over South India, partially, not completely, through that Carnatic Wars, in the meanwhile, they have also won this Battle of Plassey here in Bengal. Now that they got Battle of Plassey, why Battle of Plassey happened and what exactly is the background to it? We have to go back to 1717. Farooq Siyar was the Mughal emperor. Farooq Siyar. Zille-Lahi is old, but Zille-Lahi is romantic, and Zille-Lahi want to marry again. Don't ask me the number. Not relevant. Not even possible to remember. Right? Ab Zille-Lahi want to marry a girl almost 30 years younger to him. And very beautiful damsel she is. And Zille-Lahi has got a fistula. पीछे फोड़ा हो गया बहुत बड़ा. And Zille-Lahi से तो बैठा ही नहीं जाता, तो शादी क्या करेंगे Zille-Lahi? He is so much in pain and लाहौल वाला कुवत, marriage is delayed. सारे नीम हकीम खतराए जान हो चुके हैं. Nobody is able to treat him. In the meanwhile, a British agent came to India, John Surman. Along with him came a Scottish surgeon, William. And then he operated Zille-Lahi. And Zille-Lahi is fine. Now nikah is fixed. Zille-Lahi is so happy. Ask me what you want. And they said, sir, can you give special right to the British East India Company that we are not to pay duty in India on our trade? Zille-Lahi said, Tamil ho. From today onwards, the British are not to pay duty on their trade in India. All our other players, whosoever they are, they have to pay some taxes to the government of India, Mughals. The British have not to pay this. But this is allowed only in case of the official trade of East India Company. And if we all are the workers of East India Company, we are all corrupt. You know what we are doing? Let's say we buy these tilex from India. India is the only place where these are made. In India, the pen is available for 10 rupees, but in Europe it can be sold for 100 rupees. So East India Company decided we will buy 1000 pens this year so that demand and supply mismatch can always continue. And then instead of selling it for 100, we can even sell it for 200 because it is in huge demand. And if we have less pieces of these pens, so then we can sell it for 200 rupees. Buying it for 10, selling for 200 makes a lot of sense. But you all are so corrupt. East India Company officially bought 1000 pens, paid no duty to the Mughals. All of us bought 10 pens each, made up same consignment, put a same stamp, and evading duty, we took it to England. 1, India denied its share of duty, taxes. 2, cheating with England because the Crown has said it is a monopoly of East India Company. The employees themselves are corrupt, insider trading हो रही है, and you are selling these pens for 70-80 rupees in England. So सबका नुकसान हो रहा है. Fine. But then when the Nawab of Bengal, Sirajudaulah, objected to this abuse, now what is the issue here? It is called abuse of dastak. Now what is dastak? Dastak is that duty-free trade pass. Wherever you will go, you will show the dastak. जैसे आज नहीं होता तुम कर्फ्यू में पास लेके घूम रहे होते हो, ऐसे था. Wherever there will be the octroi points and the East India Company will be passing with its consignments, they will show the dastak. Mughal Emperor ने हमें permission दिया जी, no duty. And then they keep taking their personal goods as well, evading the duty. Sirajudaulah rules over Bengal. He is the Nawab of Bengal, and Bengal is the most popular province for trade and crafts. Now he said, no, I will not allow the abuse of dastak, which means losses to the fortunes of the players, not the company. Employees. So East India Company is not fighting so far. It is the selfish interest of the employees of the company that precipitated the war. England did not want this war. The employees, the corrupt employees, they played the game, and Sirajudaulah became a eyesore for them. Now they came to know that Sirajudaulah is a young, inexperienced boy, and the army is headed by Mir Jafar, who is very ambitious but cannot dare do this. So Clive met Jafar and said, if I help you become the Nawab and eliminate Siraj, let's join hands, let's make a conspiracy, hatch a conspiracy, eliminate Siraj, you will be the Nawab, give me all the benefits. And Jafar said, there is nothing better than this, sir. So together they conspire, and then the Battle of Plassey happened for a day, single day event. Sirajudaulah killed, Mir Jafar became the Nawab, and he gave all the trade rights to the British, and a lot of money was exchanged to the tune of more than 1 crore rupees in 1757. Company got 1 crore rupees from India. This money is enough. 1 crore 1757 में आज के 1000 crore से भी ज्यादा है. उससे तुम इंडिया में आर्मी बनाओ, प्रोडक्ट्स खरीदो, जो मर्जी करो. Now that you made Mir Jafar the new Nawab, he is just a puppet of the British. So Bengal from today is called puppet state of the British. Now that you have a puppet, every year you come and ask for more. And one fine day, Jafar said, I'm sorry, I cannot fulfill your greed. They said, bloody hell, we made you Nawab of the richest province. If you can't, then what right you have to continue? So his son-in-law, Mir Qasim, was made the new Nawab. Now that Mir Qasim became the Nawab, he paid a lot of bribe to the British. But the next year, he tried to become a little more independent. And even he had objection to abuse of dastak. British removed him. And once again made Mir Jafar the Nawab. What the hell was going on in Bengal? Nobody is understanding. Under these circumstances, when Bengal's Nawab Mir Qasim, the second one, he was removed, he came to Audh. This is Awadh. The British cannot pronounce Awadh, so they used to call it Audh. So this is Awadh, Lucknow. In Awadh, the Nawab was Shuja. This man Shuja is not just the Nawab of Awadh, he was also the Wazir of the Mughal Emperor. That means he is the Prime Minister of India. So Qasim from Bengal came to Awadh and told Shuja that British seems to be in mischief. They have some bigger plans. We need to tame them. Luckily, at that time, the Mughal Emperor was also sitting in Awadh, Shah Alam, with his Wazir. Like, the king is so weak, so fragile, so very weak-hearted that instead of being in Delhi, being threatened by Marathas, he was sitting in Awadh. So Mughal Emperor Shah Alam, Awadh Shuja, and Mir Qasim, the deposed Nawab, the three are sitting together. खूब जमेगा रंग जब मिल बैठेंगे तीन दोस्त. दो पैग लगाए तीनों ने, and they said, "चक दो चोटे अंग्रेजां दे." I mean, let's fight. Now that they plan to fight, this led to Battle of Buxar. In a single day, the British army defeated Mughal Emperor Shuja and Qasim. All three were defeated. Now, with the end of Buxar, the Mughal Empire is almost gone practically. Theoretically, it will continue. Now, I am Clive, and this is the defeated audience. So, first of all, as a due regard, I called Qasim, slapped him tight. तेरे को तो पहले टार दिया था, पंगे ले रहा है, भाग जा यहाँ से. Qasim's role is over in history after this. Now I called Mughal Emperor. Sir, what did I say to you? He said nothing. And why you came? He said sorry. He said, but sorry comes at a price now. So what's the price? Sir, I will pay you 26 lakh rupees per annum. Mughal Emperor, for what? He said, for doing nothing. आज के बाद तुमने कुछ नहीं करना, हम करेंगे. You are a puppet in our hands. We will tell you what you are to do. He said, 26 lakhs per annum for doing nothing. Can I watch my dances? He said, yes. Can I have the concubines and wine? Obviously, yes. He said, mashallah. Chale, kare inshallah, bismillah kare. Chalo. Mughal Emperor became pensioner of East India Company. Now they called Nawab of Awadh. Sit down. We will talk to you after a while. First, let's settle things with the Mughal Emperor. So Mughal Emperor was now asked to sign the first orders. And the orders are, the British East India Company will be the Diwan of Bengal, Bihar and Odisha. Diwan of Bengal, Bihar and Odisha. And remember what is Bengal at that time. India's West Bengal as well as entire Bangladesh and few parts of Assam. Then Bihar and Odisha. So Jharkhand is obviously part of it. So this is one Bengal. So this is what the British got as Diwan. Now what is Diwan? The revenue collector. From today, the British will collect revenue from these provinces. Now imagine a change of things in Indian history. Before this, the British used to bring gold and silver from England to buy Indian goods. From today, you collect money from Indian farmers as revenue and pay to Indian craftsmen and buy their products. You will not bring anything from England. This is called unilateral transfer of Indian products. Nothing in lieu of which will ever come back to India. Goods will go out of India, but no money will come to India. So drain of wealth started. This is called the beginning of drain of wealth. Products are going out of India. They are not being compensated, paid nothing for. India will obviously become a poverty-ridden society hereafter. पैसा तो आएगा नहीं इंडिया में अब. Handicrafts will be destroyed, right? Because British got the Diwani rights of Bengal, Bihar, Odisha. The second thing, East India Company, which is a private trading body, is now an administrative power in India, appointed by the Mughal Emperor. आज के बाद तो वो policy formulate करेंगे. They are the ones to make the policies for revenues in India. So they are as good as political bosses of India, and that too in a legitimate way because your Mughal Emperor appointed. Who can now object to it, right? And the British were so smart, they took only Diwani. There are two things, Diwani and Nizamat. Nizamat is criminal justice. They said this will remain with Indians. Because if there is law and order problem, you manage it, and we will not allow you to manage it well. You will become very unpopular, then we will replace you. When your law and order will not be efficient, people will be fed up with you, then we will take over the Nizamat as well. So immediately we will not take it over. Division of powers into two things, revenue and criminal justice. It is called Dual Government of Bengal by Clive. This is called Dual Government of Bengal. It will be very oppressive for the people because there is no one to listen to their problems anymore, right? Now, this is what they did with Mughal Emperor. They got Diwani right. Clear? Now, they called the Nawab of Awadh. They said, Mr. Nawab, do you know one thing? The Marathas are expanding like anything. And when Abdali came, you supported Abdali. Have you seen that movie, Panipat? उसमें जो मोटू सा होता है ना, जैसे देख रहा होता है दूरबीन से, वो शुजा था, नवाब शुजा. Right? Now, because he supported the Afghan invaders, Marathas have all the problems with him. So any day Marathas can invade and attack Awadh. Abdali is no friend to anyone. If he came to India and has reached up to Panipat, Delhi and next will be Awadh. So either Afghans will attack Awadh or Marathas will attack Awadh. Now, let's say he is a Nawab of Awadh, Shuja, and I'm the British officer. I said, Shuja, so how will you protect yourself? He said, oh, my dear friends, now I am your mercy. British said, from today, you become a protected state. Now, what is a protected state? British armies will be placed on your borders for your protection against any possible attack. On this side, so it is already British territories. On these two sides, British army will be stationed. For this army, the British army, Awadh will pay. You know what we are doing? We are creating British army by not paying for it. You will pay for it. We will have the army. It is stationed on your borders to make it a buffer zone. In future, if there is any war to be fought, instead of fighting it in the territories that we control, we will fight in your territory. Destruction belongs to you, prosperity to us, right? Moreover, all this army which is stationed on your borders can be used to fight other wars. At the same time, if you try to now resist or revolt, this army will dethrone you. So you have become nothing but a puppet of the British. But the most important statement that we should keep in our mind from here onwards, when we did this, that the Indians will pay for the creation of British army, a writer said, the British conquest of India became a self-financing enterprise. तुम्हें तो आज से पैसा आर्मी पे भी नहीं खर्च करना. Indians will pay for the army through which British will win India. And for the trade, you pay the taxes. So Britain will become the richest country, India will become the poorest country. Now, that is called British diplomacy. Clear? So now the British have direct control over Bengal, Bihar, Odisha, and Awadh is protected by them. Now they share borders with Marathas, they share borders with Nizam of Hyderabad, right? Now they are not able to understand that who should be the next person with whom we can have confrontation. This is Mysore, ruled over by Hyder Ali, followed by his son Tipu Sultan. Now Hyder is a very powerful, very ambitious king. He always wanted to expand his territories, but at the cost of whom? Either Nizam or Marathas. So Marathas had problem with Hyder, so do Nizam had problems. Marathas had problem with Nizam as well. So Marathas, Nizam and Mysore, they are involved in something called tripartite struggle. तीन parties के बीच में लड़ाई है. Now British realize that Mysore is very important for them. Mysore is Kerala. They need Kerala for spices. Mysore has some territories in Karnataka, which is famous for sandalwood, and then the coastline. And Hyder is giving no entry to British here. Now they want to get control of this state. So British approached Nizam and Marathas and signed treaty of friendship with them against a common enemy. By taking recourse to the resources of Nizam and Maratha, their money, their soldiers, the British came and defeated Mysore. Hyder and Tipu died fighting these wars. 1799, Mysore came under British control. Once British got control of Mysore, now they have control over Maratha territories from both the sides. Now Marathas were trapped, and 3 Anglo-Maratha wars, Marathas defeated in 1818. Marathas had control over Rajputana. So Rajputana is gone because Marathas are gone, leaving behind only Punjab. And that time Maharaja Ranjit Singh, who ruled over Punjab, his Punjab was Kashmir, Jammu Kashmir, entire Punjab of India, Punjab of Pakistan, up to Baluchistan, parts of Haryana and Delhi, and Himachal Pradesh. This was one Punjab. Now, Maharaja Ranjit Singh died in 1839, and within 6 years, British made inroads. 1845 started Anglo-Sikh Wars first, and then 1848, Second Anglo-Sikh War. British won entire India, including Pakistan, Bangladesh, one war with Afghanistan and Burma and whatnot. That means in less than 100 years from Plassey, they have won the entire subcontinent. And remember, this is 1848. Trains will start in 1853. There were no modern means of transportation, only navy or horses. And they got all these territories under their control within this much of the time. Now, is the British conquest of India clear? It was quite planned. And then the British historians say, we won India in a state of absent-mindedness. हमें पता ही चला हम इंडिया कब जीत गए. हम जीतने थोड़ा आए थे. फिर एक हिस्टोरियन उन्हीं को रिप्लाई करता है, yes, you were asleep under a mango tree and a ripe mango fell in your lap. पका सेब था झोली में गिर गया, तुम खा गए, तुम्हारा क्या था, आम मिला, तुम खा गए, चूस गए उसको, and you ruined India like anything. Done. British conquest is clear. Now I will give you another glimpses, another way to understand this history. Now that British got Bengal, Bihar, and Odisha after Plassey and Buxar, and they became the Diwan of this area, right? So their administration started from this side. So obviously this side governor will become more important. That is why Governor of Bengal in 1773 became Governor General of Bengal. This is the year when they passed Regulating Act. Now, why had they had to pass this Regulating Act? Now, imagine a situation. The government of India gives license to Ambani or Adani. Okay, Jio can go to Africa and start its operations. And after a few years, we come to know that Mukesh Ambani has his army in Africa and he has defeated all the countries in Africa and now he is ruler there. So parliament में तो शोर मचेगा ना इंडिया में कि how come this happened, like a businessman turned into a politician and Africa is now ruled by him. Similarly, East India Company was a private trading body. How could they have armies and then win territories in India by fighting wars? When the news reached Britain, they said, how the hell this happened? The Prime Minister needs to explain in Parliament. And they said, if the East India Company has got hold of political power in India, why shouldn't the Britain as a nation should rule India then? Why company? One, two, another very important thing. Now that the company has started, making revenue settlements in India, what disaster has come to India? They got Diwani right in 1765. They were totally inexperienced for these kind of jobs. So they started experimenting with the single motive, and it is profit. Because they wanted more taxes, they made taxation systems so oppressive that the farmers were forced to revolt. And there were revolts in Bengal in 1770s. And because farmers were revolting, that is why there was famine outbreak in Bengal and millions died. It brought bad name to Britain as a nation. कि तुम्हारे लोग राज कर रहे हैं वहां पे तो हाहाकार मच गया, people are dying of starvation. What kind of British rule is it? They said it is not British rule, it is company. So let us now regulate the affairs of this British company that is ruling India. So they passed the Regulating Act. Now the Regulating Act is passed. So the interference of Parliament in India started. And with this, they started setting up the administrative, judicial, bureaucratic structures in India. Supreme Court at Calcutta was established by the Charter Regulating Act 1773, and then all other functions started, right? Now that the company is trying to mend the ways, there are two ways which we need to understand. When you are starting the process, I am from England, this is India, so much of diversity, and I know nothing about this India. People speak different languages, you have different cultures, you have different religions, different beliefs, different traditions. Everything is different at every second place. How can we rule over you without knowing you? So let's start with a policy of Orientalism. What is Orientalism? We will learn your language. We will learn your culture so that we can understand what kind of people you are. So what we will do, we will establish madrasa. Warren Hastings, the Governor General, will establish a madrasa where the company officer will go and learn the Persian and the Arabic languages so that we can understand the Shariat and the Hadith, the sayings of Prophet Muhammad and the Islamic law. We establish Banaras Sanskrit school where the British officers will go and learn Sanskrit so that we can understand what is Manu Samriti, what kind of structures you have. And to a little surprise of all of us, perhaps, when we were trying to understand these things, we found a gold mine to our advantage. There was something theoretical called caste system, which was never practically followed. The British said, oh my God, what a bad society this India is. You believe in caste system, you treat people in such a degraded manner. Oh, poor depressed class, we are your protector, we are your saviors. There are two possibilities, either convert them to Christianity or win them as your loyal people in India. So they will now magnify the problems of caste system and other things, which were originally not that huge. They intentionally play these cards in India, which is called divide and rule, right? It will be easier for them. For the common masses, you have these tricks. Now come to the kings. You know what I'm going to do? You are different kings of India. Let's say she is Nizam of Hyderabad. And I ask her, have you seen Plassies and Buxers and other wars where I defeated Mysore and everyone? She said, yes, sir. So what did you learn? Sir, you are very smart, very powerful, very, organized. So do you think you can ever fight against us? No, sir. Do you think we can always protect you? Yes, sir. So let's sign subsidiary alliance. Now that's a new policy by Lord Wellesley. So Nizam said, sir, what are the rules of the game? He said, one, you will have no army of yours. You will hire British army and you will pay for it. And we do not want our friends to be bothered about the monthly or the annual payments. You can transfer us as much of the land as suffice for the payment of the troops. So we give you army, we take your land. We expand our empire without paying for it. And then the soldiers created are the British soldiers. They are not loyal to you, they are loyal to us. This is one condition. Second condition, any Indian king who will sign this subsidiary alliance will have one British officer called British resident with him. And you know what is the role of this resident? Let's presume they are all Marathas. Gaikwad, Bhonsle, Scindia, Holkar, right? Each one of them will have one British resident to manage their external affairs. That means if Holkar and Scindia are to discuss, they cannot talk together. Holkar will ask his British resident to talk to the British resident of Scindia. Then he will tell Scindia. Now, this is the best master stroke of British diplomacy. This is truly divide and rule. How can in future ever two Indian kings can conspire against the British? As one Indian ruler, let's say I'm from Gujarat and she's from Maharashtra. Can I tell my British resident, okay, tell her that I want to fight the British, let's plan together? So any chance of Indian kings coming together against the British is over from this day. When somebody tell me that the kings or the rulers of India did not participate in the revolt of 1857, I feel sorry for that. It should be they could not participate. How could they participate? Neither they could plan together, nor they had their own armies. So what right they had to participate in the revolt? They were the puppets of the British. And we have to pity with them, not to be annoyed with them. देशद्रोही थे, कुछ नहीं किया भाई, औकात ही नहीं थी उनकी कुछ करने की. They were in no position to do this. So subsidiary alliance to take care of kings, and then the revenue policy for the profits, and then the administrative setup to have the British sway over India in every possible manner. Now India is at their hands. Now we learned your languages. While learning your languages, we are so smart here. We are so smart. I said, oh, the original language of this subcontinent is Sanskrit. The Aryans. Who are these Aryans? The fair complexion people, Aryans. From where did they come? From Central Asia. And from where did the European come? Central Asia. What is Aryan? The people who speak Indo-European languages. Now look at this. If you say Bhratra, we say brother. If you say Matra, we say mother. So we were living together. We are brothers. But unfortunately, when you came to this subcontinent, you were so great a people that you could write the greatest of the text with us. But then you started living in India. And unfortunately, you started getting spoiled. Now you have become so degraded that the God Almighty has to send the whites to solve your problems. That's the white man burden theory. You have become so bad, so wicked. Now we have to come and groom you to make you more civilized. और तुम्हें पता है हम तो ऐसे होते हैं, अच्छा भगवान ने भेजा, ठीक है, right? Who gave this poem, White Man Burden? Very good, Rudyard Kipling. He gave this poem, White Man Burden. This is called cultural conquest of India. Along with the political conquest, you culturally conquered India. You made Indians believe that they are inferior to the whites. And you have left a lasting impact in this part of the world. If you are not fair, people don't call you good looking. If you cannot speak good English, people don't consider you as intelligent. If you go to Europe, in Germany, nobody will speak English. In France, nobody will speak English. They will speak their mother tongue. Chinese speak Mandarin. Why in India we have to speak English? और फिर भाई लिखते और पढ़ते जैसी हैं, तो सुभान अल्लाह, मेरे को आज सुबह एक स्टूडेंट का मैसेज है, सर आई एम विल बी इन मॉर्निंग. क्या करूं इस मैसेज का, मुझे अभी तक समझ नहीं आया. आई एम विल बी इन मॉर्निंग. उसको कहना ये चाहता था मैं क्लास के लिए सुबह आऊंगा. आई एम विल बी इन मॉर्निंग. मैंने उसको मैसेज किया, आई लव यू फ्रॉम द बॉटम ऑफ माई हार्ट मोर देन आई लव माई वाइफ. यही कह सकता हूँ मैं. पंजाब से था लड़का बेचारा, मैं जानता हूँ, आई लव हिम. ऑनलाइन बैठा हुआ है, तभी मैंने तेरे को ये सबके सामने बताया, तेरा नाम नहीं बताया. आई एम विल बी इन द मॉर्निंग. इंग्लिश डाइड ए नेचुरल डेथ. सारी टेंस एक साथ लगा के तूने इंग्लिश को टेंस कर दिया. अच्छा मुझे एक बात बताओ, व्हेन यू गो टू यूरोप व्हाट दे से, टॉल डार्क हैंडसम. तो इंडिया में फेयर एंड लवली क्यों? अब तुम्हें इसका भी लॉजिक समझाता हूँ. कितने ही कमीने थे ये लोग. व्हेन दे केम, दे स्टार्टेड लर्निंग आवर लैंग्वेजेस, try to understand us. समझ लिया हमें, हिंदी समझ ली, संस्कृत समझ ली, उर्दू समझ ली. Now they understand this psyche of the Indians. Now I saw him in the morning. ये हाथ में थोड़ा सा पहाड़ी नमक लेके ना, that black salt लेके दांत साफ कर रहा है आराम से. And this is one of the best ways to do it. ना कभी कैविटीज होंगी, ना कभी शाइन लस्टर जाएगी ना एनामल के ऊपर से. नेचुरल है और बेस्ट है. पुराने लोग यही करते थे, बेस्ट था मेथड ये, और इंडियन यही करते थे. एंड ब्रिटिश सेड, hey you morons, you do this nonsense, here is our toothpaste, close up. और साथ में वो दिखाते थे टूथपेस्ट करो, लड़कियां डांस करती हुई आ जाती हैं. दे सेड भाई साहब सब शुरू हो गए इंडिया वाले. They created market for their products. While they became industrialized, they had to create market for their products. To create this market, they have to change their strategy. And what was the strategy? First, they learned our language, and then they proved that their language is superior. And then they introduced English education in India. Now, one who introduced English education is Lord Macaulay. And what did Macaulay say? I want Indians in blood and color. तुम्हारा रंग नहीं बदलने वाला, but Europeans in taste. तुम्हारे शौक बदल दूंगा. Imagine a situation, Indians getting up in the morning and drinking milk, a glass of milk or lassi, and then the present generation, tea or coffee. पुराने टाइम में ना, हम जब छोटे थे तो हमारी दादी पता क्या बोलती थी हमें, चाय पीने से काले हो जाते हैं. ओ भाई, जब अंग्रेजों को ये बात आई ना चाय में काले, तो अंग्रेज शक्ल दे देते, कहते हम तो रोज पीते हैं, हम तो हुए नहीं, तुम कैसे हो जाओगे. इंडिया में हो जाते हैं. वो पता क्या करते हैं, वो फिश को, यूरोपियन जो वो फिश को मिल्क में बनाते हैं और खा लेते हैं. हमारे यहाँ फुलवेरी हो जाएगी, ये दूध पी रहा था. अंग्रेजों को समझ नहीं आ रही होती, व्हाट इज दिस नॉनसेंस, फुलवेरी, व्हाट इज दिस. उनको कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा होता. बट यस, अब ना ब्रिटिश ने तुम्हें अपनी लैंग्वेज सिखाई. यू लर्न इंग्लिश. कैन एवरीवन लर्न इंग्लिश? वो तो आज तक नहीं आई. हैंडफुल ऑफ पीपल, they became the elite, new elite of the society. They became Europeanized. The new social class emerged, and they will obviously be loyal to the British. They will get employment with the British. They will be paid by the British. They will get the special status. तुम्हें पता है एक status होता था, कुर्सी नशी. Means अगर तुम्हें English आती है, you are educated and you go to any official to meet, सिर्फ तुम्हारे लिए कुर्सी रखी जाएगी. जिसको इंग्लिश नहीं आती वो साइड पे खड़ा रहेगा. So to become a kursi nashi, it's a big status. ना तुम डीसी को मिलने जा रहे हो, साथ में पीएम तुम्हारे लिए चेयर ला रहा है और तुम आराम से बैठ के डीसी से बात कर रहे हो. Yes sir, I am in morning, will come forward and sir I will try sir. मैंने कहा था shut up. Now listen to me. You bloody Indians know nothing. Get out. बस इतना होता था. वो बारह कहता था, लाट साहब ने मेरी पूरी गल सुनी. उन्होंने क्या पूरा कि तेरी सारी गल मन्नी जाएगी वीर, बस तुसी भरा दा साथ दो, देखो आप चौड़े चक देंगे. फिर वो अंदर जाता था, जनाब गेट आउट. बाहर आके जनाब ने हाँ करती. ये चल रहा होता था उस टाइम पे. जितने ये वीआईपी थे ना इंडियन, उनके साथ ये होता था. राइट नाउ दे हैव लर्नड योर लैंग्वेज, टॉट यू देयर लैंग्वेज, स्टार्टेड स्प्रेडिंग क्रिश्चियनिटी, एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव रिफॉर्म्स. नाउ इज द टाइम फॉर इंडिया टू रेजिस्ट द चेंज. You are fed up with the economic exploitation, political exploitation, social exploitation. Now, there are two ways to react to it. One, to challenge them, to prove that they are good. This is called the reformist idea. You say that India is bad, now we are bad people, we do sati, we do this, we do that. Okay, change it. Ram Mohan Roy. Now I dare you, ban sati. Ishwar Chandar, legalize widow remarriage. Now prove that you are good. If we are bad, now change us. That is what God sent you for. Start doing it. The other group, resist. No. India and Indian culture is the most superior culture. We don't want to get Europeanized. Arya Samaj. Back to Vedas. Right? Two ways of reaction, but both have a common funnel to be created. The funnel of nationalists. If you are reformist, you want India to be reformed. And if you want India to be socially reformed, you want India to be politically reformed. So Arya Samajis and the Brahmo Samajis, they will breed the next generation of nationalists. Arya Samaj created the first, Brahmo Samaj of Raja Ram Mohan Roy created the first political association as well, Bang Bhasha Prakashika. Right? That was the first political association that started demanding for civil liberties. Arya Samaj, they brought forward the leaders like Lala Lajpat Rai and others. Right? So the social reform movements and the revivalist movements, they bred nationalism in India and the new leadership emerged. Now that this new leadership is emerging, we need to understand one more important logic here. This side of the class believes in Indianization. They stick to their culture. right? Vernacular languages, native culture. This side of the class is Yorkanized. Now you are opening up for modern English education. Few of you who have now become almost graduates. There are no universities in India initially. First university, 1857, Calcutta. Before that, there is no university. So where will you go to study now? To the London University, right? So imagine these two first rows of the class, they are now in London, but they are not all from Punjab. They are from different parts of India. While they are in London, now you are graduates, what for you are here? आज किस लिए बैठे हो यहाँ पे? सिविल सर्विसेज. ये ग्रेजुएट्स क्या करेंगे? Civil services, ICS exam. So they all came together to prepare for ICS. Somebody is Satindranath Tagore, somebody is Badruddin Tayabji, somebody is Surendranath Banerjee, somebody is from Bengal, somebody is from Maharashtra, somebody is from Madras. They all have come together, and remember, they all can speak English. They are English educated elite, right? Now they have read English education and they know the Enlightenment ideas of liberty, equality, rights, justice, democracy, and whatnot. While sitting in London, they all prepared very well. Now, just a joke, they all failed because of CSAT. English में थोड़े weak थे बेचारे. Now they all are crying. इतनी मेहनत की थी, साला pre नहीं clear हो रहा, 2 बार हो गए हैं. Now they are fed up. They have understood the discrimination of the British. They came back to India. Educated, civil service aspirants, failed. Very dreadful thing. Very dreadful thing. While they came back to India, somebody from Bengal, they can make Bengal Presidency Association. Somebody from Madras, Madras Presidency Association, Bombay Presidency Association. So regional grouping started. Now they are old buddies, old friends. They can plan to meet one day. Congress will be made. Right? Different leaders come together and made a bigger Congress. Now tell me why they call it that Congress was created by A.O. Hume. I proved it that this was created by Indians themselves and logically proved it. Na? It is not the brainchild of British. Then why they call it the brainchild of British? कोई idea नहीं है? चलो. There is a story, and this is a very funny story, and I will give you this storyline where you have to find the faults in the story, right? Let's see how you find the faults. There is someone by the name of William Wedderburn. इसने शादी की और फिर इसको आग लग गई. Wedderburn, right? Now this man, William Wedderburn, also became the president of Congress. He is 5th president of the Congress, right? And he is the one who wrote the biography of A.O. Hume, whom we call the father of Indian National Congress, right? So what story Mr. Wedderburn tells us in his book on Hume? He said, Hume told me, William is saying, Hume told me that while he was posted in the revenue department at Shimla, he came across some secret correspondence. In this secret correspondence, he came to know about the Mahants, many Mahants, Tantric Babe types, and their chelas, their followers, and all of them have some mystic powers. Jadoo tune karne aate hain, inko vashikaran, pata nahi kya kya, and they are having anti-British outlook. So Hume told me that when Hume came to know about all these Mahants and their chelas, he approached the then Governor General of India, Mr. Duffer, right? Duffer se mila jaake, and he convinced Dufferin that there is some anti-British unrest in India, and before it so happens, let's create Indian National Congress. Why? Because let's presume that what is exactly happening in India, India is like a pressure cooker, and it is on a constant fire because of British exploitation. Because British do not interact with Indians, the cooker is sealed. Inside, Indians are conspiring. Koi khichdi pak rahi hai, and we are in total oblivion of what they are doing. And there is steam inside the cooker, and any fine day, there can be a blast. So before the blast happens, let's put that whistle, safety valve. Let's create a safety valve. This safety valve, the whistle will blow. That means when the Indians will feel restless, the Congress will come on the public platform and raise slogans against our policies, and we can understand and amend our policies. So that is why we want this Congress to be made. That is why Congress is called safety valve. Now, do you agree to this? My first objection to the story is, Mr. Hume, if you are in revenue department, from where did you get the secret correspondence met for home department? ये तो होम डिपार्टमेंट की स्टोरी होगी भाई, रेवेन्यू थोड़ा कर रहा है। उस टाइम पे कौन सा वाला ट्रांजैक्शन कर रहे थे महंत कि तुम्हारे पास ईडी के पास खबरें आ गई थी और ईडी था ही नहीं, तो कहां से कैसे फेक स्टोरी हो गई, राइट? दूसरी खबर, डफरिन द देन गवर्नर जनरल in a very idiomatic manner said Hume seems to have a bee in his bonnet. What it means to have a bee in the bonnet? To make you about something that is not existing. पागल बुड्ढा रिटायर्ड आईसीएस है, रोज आ जाता है मुंह उठा के, मर गए कांग्रेस बना दो, मर जाएंगे कांग्रेस बना दो। मैंने दुखिया क्या मर बना, मैं इसका पार्टी नहीं हूं। एंड डफरिन इमीडिएटली सेंड एसओएस मैसेज टू गवर्नर ऑफ बॉम्बे, जहां पे फर्स्ट सेशन हुआ था। बॉम्बे गवर्नर इज रे, he said this is nothing official, stay away. तो ये प्राइवेट है एओ ह्यूम का, हम नहीं कर रहे। then how come this safety wall theory is true? But now imagine you are Indian nationalist, because I am the eldest in the class, so I take the opportunity to call myself the grand old man of India, Dada Bhai Naroji, right? So now you are sitting here and you are saying we will make our own Congress, why to take British help? I said, what for the Congress is to be made? We want to tell British they are doing something wrong and they should change. And if you will not agree to what they say, will you ever get a chance to meet them? How will you get an appointment with the governor or governor general? So if those bloody British are asking us to make a Congress with them, let's make it now. Let them die in the illusion that they created safety wall. Let's make the British offer as a safety wall around the Congress. At least they will not declare us illegal initially. They will think that they created us, they will listen to us. And exactly this happened. When Congress agreed to the proposal of A.O. Hume and they came together, the very next year, 1886, Governor General Dufferin called them for a high tea. And you know, on that high tea, chai peete hue man ki baat kar di Congress ne. You know what the leaders were doing? How about the administrative reforms and Indians getting chance to enter into ICS exam by holding simultaneous examination in India? डफरिन दे रहा, ह्यूम ਨੂੰ ਬੁਲਾਓ, ਸਰ ਨੂੰ ਆ ਗੰਦ ਪਾਤਾ, ਮੇਰੀ ਜਾਨ ਨੂੰ ਸਿਆਪਾ ਪਾਤਾ। ਇੰਨਾ ਵੱਡਾ ਅੰਗਰੇਜ਼ੀ ਦਾ ਸਟੇਟਮੈਂਟ ਇੱਕੋ ਸਾਂਝ ਕੌਣ ਬੋਲ ਗਿਆ? इतने में भी वो देख ही रहा था। दूसरा आया, हाउ अबाउट होल्डिंग इलेक्शंस इन इंडिया एंड इनफ्रेंचाइजिंग द इंडियन पॉपुलेस? डफरिन कह रहा, भाई ये क्या हो गया तुम्हें, क्या हो गया? इलेक्शन डेमोक्रेसी, तुम्हारा दिमाग ठीक है? यू ब्लडी इंडियंस, यू आर नॉट मेंट फॉर दिस। अब तुम्हें कांग्रेस की स्ट्रैटेजी बताता हूं। यू विल परहैप्स लाइक कांग्रेस बिकॉज एटलीस्ट अप टू 1947 तो कांग्रेस वाज गुड, है ना? उसके बाद पता नहीं क्या हुआ, तब तक तो सही थी। सो कांग्रेस मेड इन 1885। अब इसके साथ मैं तुम्हें फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल खत्म कराने लगा हूं, ध्यान से सुन लेना इसको। 1885 कांग्रेस मेड। कांग्रेस is the result of the aspirations of the Indians. So the demands that the Congress will make, these are the aspirations of Indians. So they want elections, they want democracy and everything. It took them 7 years to convince the British for first set of reforms. So Indian Council Act 1892 was passed. British said, uneducated, illiterate, ignorant, backward, uncivilized Indians cannot understand elections. We cannot introduce elections. At best, what we can offer you is indirect elections. You can propose few names at the local body level, and then we will pick, choose them and send them to the legislature. So it will be indirect election. Now the Congress policy is called PCP, pressure, do this, compromise, whatsoever they offer, agree to it. Again, put some pressure for new reforms. So when they said indirect election, Indians said, see sir, God sent you for the right cause. You have started something great in India. We are so pleased. And now listen to what Dadabhai Naoroji is going to do. Dadabhai Naoroji is the first Indian to become a member in the British House of Commons. I will not give you the verbatim. I will give you the essence of the thing. As first Indian in the British House of Commons, Lok Sabha ka member ban gaya Dadabhai Naoroji, right? Now this is all White House. I am the only Indian. Today I am going to give a speech here. Now listen to this speech carefully. I am grateful to the God Almighty for sending you, the great British, to rule over us. It is nothing less than a divine providence that you, the great majestic British, rule over us in India. You know why you are great? Look at this. There is such a great democracy. Even a person like me can contest election and win. And there is so much of freedom of speech that I can speak here today. You are a great civilization, great nation. That is why you are such a prosperous nation. Look at this. You are the richest country in the world. All the greatness of British again make me feel so very proud of knowing the fact that you, the great British, rule over us in India. Clapping हो रही थी parliament में England में थड़ा. And then he said, alas, how unfortunate is the fact that you, the great Brits, are totally un-British in India. There is no democracy. There are no rights. There is no equality. There is no justice. Can you, great British, be as great in India as well? Even India can be a great civilization. फिर उनकी बुक लिखी गई, पॉवर्टी एंड अन ब्रिटिश रूल इन इंडिया, जिसमें उन्होंने ड्रेन ऑफ वेल्थ की बात बताई. राइट? आज अंग्रेजों को समझ ही नहीं आ रही थी. वो आपस में क्या पूछ रहे थे, वीरे प्रेस कर रहे हैं कि माड़ी कर रहे हैं? कहते वीरे बहुत माड़ी कर रहे हैं, हुण कहिए कि गल्लां ठीक ही कर रहे हैं. कहते चुप कराइए, कहते मैंबर ऑफ पार्लीमेंट है वीरे, चुप भी नहीं करा सकते, नाले ओपोजिशन तो है. बहुत बढ़िया नहीं हो गया? British were shown the real face of British rule in India by telling them that how exploitative they are in India. Now they have to change India. Now that you agreed for the first time indirect elections, Congress put pressure, you agreed, they made a compromise, and then after a few months, even not even months, weeks, they came back. How will we get that black ink mark on the fingers that we can put hashtag I voted today? मजा नहीं आया ये तो यार. इलेक्शन कैसे हो गए ये? हमें तो डायरेक्ट इलेक्शन चाहिए. British said seats, they said God sent you. White man burden. If you won't do, who will do it? British said okay, let us try. Then Indian Council Act 1909 called Minto-Morley reforms were passed. Direct elections introduced in India. Congress said, see, God sent you. You did it. Now British said, listen carefully. For next 10 years, dare you come back. 10 साल तक नहीं आना, बहुत हो गया बस. तुम 6 महीने में फिर आ गए. मजा नहीं आया. कहते अब क्यों मजा नहीं आया? व्हाट्स द प्रॉब्लम? मंत्री तो बने नहीं हम. इफ वी आर नॉट द मिनिस्टर देन व्हाट्स द फन ऑफ दिस थिंग? पैसे तो मंत्रियों पास होते हैं. एमएलए मेला साहब बन के क्या बनना है? हमें मंत्री बनना है. पागल हो गए हो. गॉड सेंट यू फॉर दिस. हाउ कैन यू से नो? थिंक आउट अ वे. British said okay, let us think. Meanwhile 1914 World War I started. British said बैठ जाओ, emergency, no more demands. And dare you ask for Swaraj? Swaraj तो मांगना ही नहीं है. It is illegal. Lala Lajpat Rai and Tilak, they all said we don't need Swaraj, we need home rule. चलो ब्रिटिश कहते अब ये क्या नया से आपका? कहते तुमने कहा था स्वराज नहीं मांगनी, होम रूल दे दो. बस इतनी सी तो बात है. They said you are very smart. We are thinking to change the things because 10 years are about to finish. So in 1917 they appointed Montfort Committee, Montagu-Chelmsford Committee, Montfort Committee, that we will now meet Indian leaders, tell us that how can we help you and we will improve the system, but in the meanwhile please help us end the war. We are trapped in this war. So India supported them and they then agreed for some reforms. Then came the 1919 Montagu-Chelmsford reforms, and they said that not at the central level but only in the provinces Indians can become ministers. We are going for open elections. Right? Indians said, see, God sent you. You again did it. So beautiful it is. They said, now again, listen, no more asking for 10 next years. You said, okay. But the moment they passed this, World War I ended. And they said, if we remove emergency in India, what Indians will do? They said, Indians will havan karenge. So what to do? They said, pass Rowlatt Act. They passed the Rowlatt Act. Instead of giving us freedom, they put more restrictions on us. When we revolted, when we agitated against Rowlatt Act, that led to Jallianwala Bagh massacre in 13th April 1919. Many people died there. Right? Now Indians are disillusioned with the British. While we supported you in the war, what are the rewards? Rowlatt Act and Jallianwala Bagh. We don't need any of this. In the meanwhile, during World War I, 1919, when it ended, the Ottoman Turks were also defeated, Turkey, and the Khalifa of Turkey was disrespected. So in India started Khilafat movement. When this Khilafat movement started, Gandhiji got the golden opportunity to undo British divide and rule. They said Hindu and Muslim should come together for Khilafat as well as against Jallianwala Bagh and Rowlatt Act. Let's go for a bigger movement together. that resulted in 1920 non-cooperation movement led by Gandhi ji. Now, when non-cooperation movement started, Gandhi ji sought only one promise from the people: non-violence. And then on 5th Feb 1922, 22 policemen were burnt alive at Chauri Chaura. And trust me, none of them was a British. All were Indian, constables type bande, sub-inspector, ASI, sab jala diye. Gandhi ji was so upset, he called it off. Now that he called it off, freedom struggle became little passive. Now that freedom struggle is little passive, what happens next? Then in 1927, 2 years before the next set of reforms, 1919, 1929, what they did? 1909, they did the reform. 1917, they appointed a committee. 1919, they passed a reform. Now, after 10 years, 1929, new reforms are due. So 1927, they sent Simon Commission to India. Simon is coming to discuss with the Indian leaders that what are your new demands. But all 7 members were whites. No Indian member. India decided to boycott it. So we said, Simon, go back. And Lala Lajpat Rai said it little more loud. Simon, वापिस जाओ. डंडा मारा, लाला जी गिर गए and Lala ji died. Bhagat Singh was so upset with this. अच्छा, आज पंजाब में तो एक पर्टिकुलर बात बताता हूँ. There was one more leader in Congress, C.R. Das. देशबंधु चितरंजन दास. Great leader of Congress, president भी थे कांग्रेस के 1922 में, then 23 में he separated from Congress, made his Swaraj party with Motilal Nehru, a great leader, great leader. 25, C.R. Das died, right? When he died, his widow Basanti Devi, she has no more responsibilities. बच्चे पहले ही बड़े हैं, सब अपने अपनी जगह set हैं. So she dedicated her life to the nation. So while she was on a all India tour after 25, in 27, 28, she was in Punjab when Simon Commission came and Lalaji was brutally assaulted and Lalaji died. Now she was like in a state of shock. She addressed a public meeting in Lahore after death of Lalaji. And while speaking there, she became little more excited. And you know what she did? She asked the women standing next to her to give her the bangles. And holding those bangles, she said, "Agar Punjabi lord ke Lalaji ki death ka badla nahi le sakte to churi pehnne." And when she threw the bangles, wahan pe khada tha Bhagat Singh. And that phada biba jat lau badala tera. भगत सिंह ने उस दिन कसम खाई थी कि मैं बदला लूंगा लाला लाजपत राय जी का. दैट इज व्हाई भगत सिंह देन असैसिनेटेड सॉन्डर्स. लोकी कहंदे गांधी ने भगत मराता, बसंती ने मरवाया. जट दी अणख नूं लकार के ने जट दा नाम ना घुमदा सी उत्थे. आज बसंती देवी की इतनी बात, पंजाबी लौट के चूरी पहन ले. भगत सिंह कहंदा लिया बीबा फिर तैनूं दसीए कि जट दा मुकाबला. अब बस फिर पीछे बैकग्राउंड में बब्बू मान का गाना गा रही है, चक लो रिवॉल्वर रफड़ा के बदला लेना है. दुनिया ही बदल गई उसके बाद, पता ही नहीं चला, है ना. तो मैं कई बार सोचा था गांधी तो रखा सी एवं गल्लां करन नूं, बसंती रखी सी पटाखे पवान नूं. उसने पवाया जो स्यापा पवाया, वहां पे गोलियां चलवा दी, बम गिरा दिए, और किसी ने नहीं किया. सो बसंती देवी, आई लव यू. ठीक है, दिस इज बसंती हु ब्रॉट द रेवोल्यूशन इन इंडिया. नो वन एल्स कुड हैव डन दिस. अर्पित कह रहा सर, अगर ऐसी बात है कि हिंदी बोलना अच्छी बात है तो आप हिंदी में पढ़ाओ. बेटा मैं ऐसी हिंदी में पढ़ाऊंगा ना कि तेरा जो प्राचीन भारत है ना, उसमें जो पाषाण युग आएगा तेरे को समझ नहीं आएगा उसके बाद, क्योंकि मेरे को तो हिंदी बहुत आती है अभी. अच्छा, नाउ साइमन कमीशन हैज कम टू इंडिया, यू हैव बॉयकॉटेड इट, लाला लाजपत राय डाइड, भगत सिंह टुक रिवेंज फॉर इट. अगला एक्ट कैसे पास होगा? 29 का तो एक्ट ही पास नहीं हो सकता. कांग्रेस हैड बीन वेटिंग फॉर 29. नाउ ब्रिटिश आर इन नो पोजीशन टू पास द एक्ट. कांग्रेस कहती देन पूर्ण स्वराज. अब हमें कंप्लीट इंडिपेंडेंस चाहिए. अंडर जवाहरलाल नेहरू एट लाहौर सेशन 1929, कांग्रेस डिमांडेड पूर्ण स्वराज. एंड हियर गांधी जी सेड सिविल डिसोबीडियंस. नेक्स्ट एजिटेशन स्टार्ट करो विद सॉल्ट सत्याग्रह. ब्रिटिश कहते नो नो, कम टू लंडन, लेट्स सिट एंड डिस्कस ऑन अ राउंड टेबल. कांग्रेस सेड सॉरी यू आर लेट, वी हैव ऑलरेडी गिव अ कॉल फॉर सिविल डिसोबीडियंस, हाउ कैन वी ओबे नाउ? So Congress did not participate in the first session of Round Table in London. All other people went there. They all discussed their problems, and the Governor General at that time was Lord Irwin, and the Prime Minister was Ramsay MacDonald. So Ramsay MacDonald asked that why are so many chairs vacant, empty? Like they said, sir, Congress did not come. They said, Irwin, make sure Congress must come. Get lost. Now Irwin came to India and he met Gandhi and signed Gandhi-Irwin Pact. वो कह रहा था आज से तुम मेरे बापू हो, मेरी नौकरी चली जाएगी. प्राइम मिनिस्टर बहुत गुस्से में है, और भाई ग्रेट इकोनॉमिक डिप्रेशन है, प्राइवेट नौकरियां भी नहीं मिल रही. गवर्नर जनरल से भी जाऊंगा, प्राइवेट में नहीं मिलनी, बच्चे भूखे मरेंगे, पापा साथ चलो, राइट। पीछे पड़ गया वो, गांधी जी के पैर पकड़े थे, जो कहोगे बापू मैं करूंगा। बापू कहते भगत, कहता ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੀ ਗੱਲਾਂ नहीं करनी, डैडी देख लो भगत नहीं छड़ सकता, होर जो मर्जी करा लो। लाइक हाउ कैन आई लीव भगत सिंह यार, ही थ्रू बॉम्ब इन द सेंट्रल असेंबली, हाउ कैन आई रिलीज हिम। कहना डैडी ठीक लगा, तुसी भी पढ़े लिखे वकील हो, है ना। वो कहना गांधी ने काला कोट एवं पाया हुआ सीगा, ये तो निर्णय नहीं पता कि बंब सुट्टे बंदे थोड़ा छड़ देते हैं। नो नो नो, बापू सेड ओके आई एम सॉरी यार, मैं थोड़ा इमोशनल हो गया था, भगत के ऊपर केस चला लो, जो भी फैक्ट फाइंडिंग होगी अकॉर्डिंगली पनिश करना, बाकियों को तो छोड़ो। देन दे रिलीज्ड ऑल द पॉलिटिकल प्रिजनर्स एंड नाउ गांधी केम एंड टोल्ड कांग्रेस, देखो काका मैं मान गया, कहने फिर बापू तू ही चल जा। देन बापू वाज सेंट टू इंग्लैंड एज द सोल रिप्रेजेंटेटिव ऑफ कांग्रेस एंड सरोजनी नायडू वेंट विद हिम एज द रिप्रेजेंटेटिव ऑफ इंडियन वुमेन एंड कस्तूरबा डिड नॉट ऑब्जेक्ट। उसने एक बार नहीं कहा कि तुम्हारे साथ वो की जा रही, मेरे को लेके चलो, जहां जाते हो उसको साथ ले जाते हो, कभी एनी को कभी सरोजनी को, मेरे को भी नहीं लेके जाते। दैट्स द सैक्रिफाइस ऑफ कस्तूरबा गांधी। शी डिड नॉट ओनली ट्रस्ट इंडिया, शी ट्रस्टेड गांधी मोर। अगला कल्ला ही तुरा फिरदा इंग्लैंड सरोजनी नायडू नाल, अगले ਨੂੰ कोई टेंशन नहीं, घरे बैठी आराम नाल, कहनी ठीक है चलो अच्छी गल है बापू, तुम शरीफ ही हो अब तो, मुझे पता है, ठीक है, हंसो मत, सच्चाई बता रहा हूं। अब बापू पहुंच गए लंदन, सेकंड सेशन ऑफ राउंड टेबल। बापू वेंट देयर विद अ क्लियर मैसेज टू द इंडियन लीडरशिप, व्हेन वी ऑल आर गोइंग टू लंदन वी हैव ऑलरेडी डिमांडेड पूर्ण स्वराज। नाउ नोबडी आस्क्ड पर्सनल इंटरेस्ट क्वेश्चंस, आस्क फॉर पूर्ण स्वराज। बट व्हेन द मीटिंग स्टार्टेड, मुस्लिम लीग लीडरशिप सेड what special rights you will give to Muslims in India? Dr. Ambedkar asked what special rights are for the depressed classes in India? Gandhi said फिर शुरू हो गए। Gandhi staged a walkout. Prime Minister was still sitting. Gandhi का स्वैग ही वखरा है, गांधी उठ के बाहर। अब while Gandhi walked out of the meeting where Prime Minister was still sitting, British said इनका नहीं छड़ना, इधर पाओ अंदर। Gandhi arrested, Congress declared illegal, Governor General Irwin called back, तेरे तो बापू नहीं संभा जाता। Wellington was made the new governor with a clear instruction, टंगा तोड़ दो, गिट्टे भन दो, जड़ा करदा civil disobedience। इंडिया में reign of terror by British, civil disobedience ended, right? While civil disobedience ended, British said now we are ready with the new act. Government of India Act 1935 was passed. Under this act, they said we will hold new elections in India, fresh elections for the provinces. There were total 11 provinces in India where elections were held. Congress came to power in 8. And in the remaining 3, where we have Punjab and Bengal as well, which were Muslim dominated, Muslim League did not win the elections. Local parties in Punjab, Unionist Party of Fazlul Haq, of Sikandar Hayat Khan, and in Bengal, Krishak Praja Party of Fazlul Haq, they won. Muslim League did not win even a single province in India. Now it is a existential question for Muslim League कि इस इंडिया में रह के करना क्या, हमें तो कोई जिताएगा ही नहीं। So as Congress won the election, Muslim League started making a new slogan: Islam is in threat in India. We need a separate nation for us. From 37 onwards, this became the identity for Muslim League, that Hindu Muslims are not two communities, they are two nationalities, and we need two separate nations. From here came 1940 two-nation theory of Jinnah. They passed two-nation theory resolution that we need Pakistan. It is called Pakistan Resolution. While Congress was trying to do the best in any and every way, बस एक ही चीज थी जो गांधी की उन्होंने मान ली, इस कारण थोड़े अनपॉपुलर हो गए। दे सेड कि पूरे इंडिया में शराब बंद हो जाएगी। पंजाब ने वोट नहीं डाली मैनिफेस्टो देख के, कहते एक इतनी गल्लां करते हैं गांधी। अब तुम्हें पता है गांधी पंजाब वालों को पसंद क्यों नहीं है? गांधी वाज इन फेवर ऑफ टोटल प्रोहिबिशन इन इंडिया, कि शराब तो मिलनी नहीं है। और वैसे भी ना एक पंजाब की खास बात है, यू विल एग्री मोर हियर। 1937 में पूरे देश ने कांग्रेस चुनी, पंजाब ने यूनियनिस्ट पार्टी चुनी। फिर आज 2002 से लेके 2014 तक पूरे देश ने कांग्रेस चुन दी, पंजाब ने अकाली बीजेपी गठजोड़ चुन दिया। फिर पूरे देश ने बीजेपी चुन दी, पंजाब ने कांग्रेस चुन दी। पंजाब कहते ना ना ना, जो पूरा इंडिया करें हम थोड़ा करेंगे, पंजाब अलग रहता होता है। अब वो कहते हैं एक बार बीजेपी और कहते इस बारी आप, जो इंडिया चुन रहा है वो थोड़ा हम चुन लेंगे, ये कैसे हो गया? अच्छा अगली बार देखो, वैसे तो बीजेपी आएगी सेंटर में, तो अब पंजाब के पास ऑप्शन खत्म हो गया, तुम्हें बीजेपी चुननी पड़ जानी है ना। तुमने सारे एक्सपेरिमेंट कर लिए, कांग्रेस अकाली आप, अब काम खराब हो गया, अब तुम फंस गए हो कहाँ से एक्सपेरिमेंट करोगे अब? अच्छा प्लीज डोंट टेक इट एज माय ओपिनियन फॉर योर वोटिंग राइट, ओके? नो सजेशन, नो ओपिनियन, यू ऑल हैव योर राइट्स। थैंक यू अभिनव। अच्छा, नाउ दैट ब्रिटिश हैव पास द 1935 एक्ट, इलेक्शन करा दिए, कांग्रेस की सरकार बन गई, मुस्लिम लीग शोर मचा रही है, कांग्रेस कह रही है मचाओ कोई बात नहीं, हम अपना काम कर रहे हैं। मीनवाइल 1939 वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 स्टार्टेड एंड ब्रिटिश सेड इंडिया इज पार्टी टू वॉर। कांग्रेस कहती फिर हमें क्यों बुलाया था, मिनिस्टर क्यों बनाया था, पूछा नहीं। कांग्रेस रिजाइंड इन 1939। द मोमेंट कांग्रेस रिजाइंड, मुस्लिम लीग सेलिब्रेटेड डे ऑफ डिलीवरेंस। 2 महीने बाद 22 दिसंबर को पूरे इंडिया में जश्न मनाए गए कि अत्याचारी कांग्रेस की सरकार गई, है ना। डे ऑफ डिलीवरेंस वाज सेलिब्रेटेड। तो यहाँ से ना जो डिस्प्यूट है वो बढ़ता जा रहा है कांग्रेस और मुस्लिम लीग के बीच में। वाइल वर्ल्ड वार 2 स्टार्टेड, हिटलर ने तो बैजा बैजा करा दी थी। नाउ ब्रिटिश आर आस्किंग इंडिया, कैन यू प्लीज हेल्प अस। 1940 they sent us August offer. In August offer they said, if you support us in the war, after war we will give you much reforms. Gandhi said, we trusted you in World War I and we got Rowlatt Act and Jallianwala Bagh, so no more trust. Tell us what you have right now. He said nothing. Gandhi said individual satyagrah. Every congressman can go for individual satyagrah. मेरा दिल करे मैं 17 सेक्टर जाके केला ही खड़ा हूँ, सत्याग्रह। एक मटका चौक पे केला ही खड़ा है, सत्याग्रह है ना, वो ऐसे खड़ा है, क्या हुआ, सत्याग्रह है ना। ब्रिटिश पागल हो जाएंगे, इट विल बैफल द एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, किसको कहाँ जाके पकड़ना है। कोई कहीं से उठ के कभी भी पागल हो जाए, पत्थर मारने शुरू कर दे, पता लगता है इनका। तो ना जी ना, कहते सॉरी, ब्रिटिश ने उसको क्रश कर दिया। In the meanwhile, they got a news. Japan has become more aggressive after conquering China. Now they are coming to India, and they have already reached Rangoon. British were in a state of fear that if Japanese take over India, then to Britain will have no support anywhere to fight against the central powers, Axis powers, and even America were now pressurizing the British. Please seek cooperation of India, because they knew that if Japan become powerful, Japan is fighting war against America. Second World War, Pearl Harbor has happened. Now, under American pressure, British agreed and they sent Cripps mission to India in 1942. Cripps came, met Indian leaders, said, if you help us in the war, after the war, we will give you a constituent assembly. You can write your constitution, but you will remain under Britain. But in a very limited manner, you will become a dominion. Gandhi said, see, Mr. Cripps, this is the post-dated check. Right? This is a very famous statement asked many a times in question. Gandhi called it a post-dated check. ऑन अ क्रैशिंग बैंक, कि हिटलर तुम्हें हराने वाला है, जापान तुम्हें हरा देगा, तुम मर जाओगे, फिर तुम कह के जा रहे हो बाद में कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बनवाओगे, तुम तो होगे नहीं, बनवाएगा कौन। और गांधी को एक और टेंशन थी, कहते देखो जापान वालों ने अगर इधर आ गए, उन्होंने करना है मार्शल आर्ट, तुम तो ठीक ठाक ही मारते थे, उन्होंने बहुत मारना है ना। और वो ऐसे हैं कमीने, मारेंगे भी, चीखे भी आप ही मारेंगे, हमें तो चीखने भी नहीं देंगे कंफू करते हुए, है ना, वो भी उन्होंने कर जाना है। तो नहीं नहीं नहीं, इससे पहले वो आए, तुम निकलो, क्विट इंडिया मूवमेंट वाज प्लान्ड। So Gandhi ji now gave a call for quit India. मेरे जैसे बहुत होते हैं, कहते बापू तेरा की भरोसा है, पहले तुम नॉन कॉपिंग की बंद कराती, सिविल ड्यूटी मंगाती। गांधी said then fight to the finish, do or die. जो करना करो, मैं मना नहीं करूंगा। Quit India is full of violence. बापू चुप, जो करना करो, कहते बस बहुत हो गया, इस तो पहले लोकी मैंने कुटन, मारो जाओ। गांधी said do or die. अब तो वैसे कोई और सोल्यूशन ही नहीं है ना। If British win world war, then तो they will not give us freedom. So this is the right time. Subhash Chandra Bose gave the best statement at this time and make INA Britain's difficulties India's opportunity. आज ब्रिटेन ट्रबल में है, मौका का फायदा उठाओ, इंडिया आजाद कराओ। He made his INA. INA is coming to attack India. Gandhi is saying no, no, no. This is the time when Subhash said, I seek the blessings of the father of the nation. First time somebody called Gandhi father of the nation at this time. This is the title given by Subhash, not by government of India. RTI proved it is not the official status. तो सुभाष चंद्र बोस ने भी मजाक ही किया था, कहना बापू एवं ना अड़ी जाया कर, मैनू मेरा काम करन दे पूरा, ऐसे कहकर उसने बिठा दिया। So he said, I seek the blessings of the father of the nation for the final war for India's freedom. तो सुभाष चंद्र बोस was doing his way, Gandhi launched his quit India. अब तुम्हें क्या लगता है, वर्ल्ड वार चल रही है, ब्रिटेन ऑलरेडी डिस्टर्ब्ड है बिकॉज ऑफ जापानीज अग्रेशन, वो तुम्हें क्विट इंडिया करने देंगे? गांधी ने रात को 8 बजे कहा क्विट इंडिया, 8:15 गांधी को उठा के ले गए। गांधी थाने में, है ना, जवाहरलाल नेहरू पर्चियां पांदा फिर रहे थे भी देखो कितना छुड़ाना है, इतने में जवाहरलाल नेहरू अरेस्ट, पटेल साहब अरेस्ट, सारी कांग्रेस अरेस्ट हो गई। अब बचे कौन है पीछे? सेकंड ग्रेड लीडरशिप लाइक जयप्रकाश नारायण, आसिफ अली, अरुणा आसिफ अली, अब ये लोग करना चाहते हैं एजिटेशन। दे आर स्टिल नॉट दैट बिग पॉपुलर नेम्स कि लोग इनके पीछे आए। व्हाट दे विल डू? अंडरग्राउंड मूवमेंट। सो क्विट इंडिया वेंट अंडरग्राउंड, और यहाँ पे अंडरग्राउंड में उषा मेहता स्टार्टेड ऑल इंडिया रेडियो, जिसपे वो वंदे मातरम गाना चलाती है दिन में 500 बार। कहती अभी आपने वंदे मातरम सुना, वंदे मातरम, अब आप फिर वंदे मातरम सुनिए, वंदे मातरम। लोग कहते सी अंग्रेजा नूं बाद चों फड़ा के पहले उषा नूं लभो कित्थे है ना, जो सवेरे सुनदी वंदे मातरम, रात हो जाती है वंदे मातरम नहीं मुकदा, बस कर यार। अब वंदे मातरम चल रहा है पूरा पूरा दिन, लोगों में जुनून आ रहा है। फिर एक नई डेवलपमेंट हुई, इस्टेब्लिशमेंट ऑफ पैरेलल रिजीम्स, बालिया सरकार, मिदनापुर सरकार, तामलुक सरकार, जैतिया सरकार, तालचल सरकार। अब इसका मतलब तुम्हें पंजाबी में समझाता हूं आज, ताकि तुम इसको लॉजिकली समझ पाओ। हम सब लोग पंजाब में रहते थे, अलग अलग एरियाज में, और हम ब्रिटिश से अनॉयड है। वी डोंट रिकॉग्नाइज ब्रिटिश एज आवर लेजिटिमेट रूलर्स एनी मोर। क्या हो गया? कुछ गिरा है, कुछ हुआ है? सब पीछे देख रहे थे, मेरे को लगा शायद पीछे कोई ब्रिटिश आ गया। क्या हुआ बेटा? तुम सब पीछे देख रहे थे, आए थक गए बेटा? देश आजाद होया तो पहले थक गई यार। आए ये गांधी कर जाता ना, आए ते देगा जी काम उठे ही। बेटा क्या हुआ? सब ठीक है? नहीं नहीं, आपको नहीं, जो पीछे देख रहे थे। पता लगे कहीं मैं क्लास पढ़ा रहा, मुझे पता ना ब्रिटिश राज के चक्कर में तुम वहां से भगत सिंह बन के बॉम्ब गिरा जाओ। ठीक, ओके। सो नेक्स्ट व्हाट हैपेंड इज, कहां थे हम, कर क्या रहे थे हम? हाँ, अंडरग्राउंड रिजीम्स बनी ना। सो वी आर पीपल ऑफ पंजाब, वी आर नॉट हैप्पी विद द वे ब्रिटिश आर रूलिंग अस एंड वी वांट टू गेट रिड ऑफ देम। पर सीनियर लीडर तो है नहीं, तो हम सारे लंबी रहते थे। हमने कहा आज से हमारी बादल सरकार, लोकल लीडर है हमारे, आज से हमारी बादल सरकार, हम टैक्स भी बादल साहब को देंगे और सारे के सारे जो हमारी प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, डिस्प्यूट्स हैं, बादल साहब पास ले जाएंगे। जलालाबाद कहते साड़ी भी बादल सरकार, साड़ी सुखी सरकार, गल खत्म। बठिंडे कहते साड़ी बीबा जी सरकार। सब ने अपनी अपनी सरकारें बना ली। लोकल लेवल पे लोकल लीडर आइडेंटिफाई करके उसको लीडर बना के अपनी सरकार बना ली। चित्तू पांड्या सरकार, ऐसे बहुत सारी सरकारें बन गई। भाई इन्होंने नौजवान अपने साथ जोड़े, यंग बॉयज, इन्होंने अपनी प्राइवेट आर्मीज बना ली जो लॉ एंड ऑर्डर मेंटेन करती हैं। कोई पुलिस थाने जाता ही नहीं, कोई कोर्ट्स में नहीं जाता, पंचायतें लगती हैं, अपने न्यूज़पेपर चला दिए। ब्रिटिश का तो हाल ही माड़ा कर दिया इन्होंने। Nobody recognizes British anymore as legitimate. They have understood. They have counted days in India, right? Now that World War ended in 1945, it is already clear that you cannot continue ruling India. Now, the Prime Minister asked the Governor General, who was Lord Wavell. He said, please explore 3 possibilities and accordingly your future will be decided. First is, number 1, if you convince India to become a dominion indirectly ruled by Britain and without partition you leave India, you will be settled for life, sorted for life. If somehow India does not agree to be a dominion, they want Puran Swaraj, okay, avoid partition, leave, you are still sorted for life. If neither they agree for dominion nor they agree that they won't settle without partition, then your future is destroyed. Now Wavell wants to control the situation, so he called Shimla Conference 1945, called everybody there. When Congress was asked, Congress said, अगर partition की बात करनी है हमने नहीं आना, we don't want to come. League said, अगर partition की बात नहीं करनी हमने नहीं आना. Wavell said, चाय बनाई है शिमला में, आना है? सब ट्रक भर के पहुंच गए, कहते पकौड़े भी है ना, कहते हाँ पनीर बने हैं, सब आ गए। अब सब बैठे हैं वहां पे चाय पीते हुए, फिर से मन की बात हो रही है। Wavell said, देखो यार, partition not on the card, what next? Jinnah said, then give Muslim League the veto in undivided India. अगर मुस्लिम लीग बोले बिल पास करना है तो ही पास करना, नहीं तो नहीं करना। कांग्रेस का ये कैसे हो सकता है? जिन्ना सेड ओके, चलता हूं, दुआओं में याद रखना। जिन्ना लेफ्ट द मीटिंग, Wavell said, Jinnah hijacked my plan. Wavell plan failed. In the meanwhile, Jinnah said, direct action day. Now direct action day is when they fight for Pakistan with a slogan written, when this slogan was made public, लड़के लेंगे पाकिस्तान, जिन्ना सेड लड़के लेंगे पाकिस्तान, नेहरू सेड लड़कियां नहीं लेंगी। वो कहता लाहौल वाला कुवत, फाइट फॉर पाकिस्तान की बात हो रही है, बॉयज फॉर पाकिस्तान की बात। नेहरू यार तेरी सोच कैसी है यार, कैसी बातें सोचता है तू? चलो, एनीवेज, नाउ दैट दिस ऑल हैपेंड, सो communal riot started. While the communal riot started, from England they sent cabinet mission. They said, make your constituent assembly. 9 December 1946, Constituent Assembly met. Muslim League boycotted. We need separate assembly for Pakistan because we want Pakistan. And now Wavell said, मुझे वापस बुला लो, मेरे को नहीं फ्यूचर सॉर्ट कराना, मुझे बुला लो, यहाँ वैसे इन्होंने फेंक देना, बहुत हो गया। Wavell went back. Lord Mountbatten was sent as the last Governor General with the clear instructions, before July 1948, India must be free. July 1948, and he's coming in March 1947. While he landed in India, somebody came, Mr. Mountbatten, what is the date in your mind? He said, no date so far. What is the date? India wants to know. वो थोड़ा घबरा गया. Mountbatten was the commander-in-chief of the Allied Army in Pacific. Japanese surrendered before him after the dropping of atomic bombs on 14th August 1945. 14th August was so important a date for him. He said 15th August. Now 15th of August before July 1948 comes in 47 only. So a random date fixed. And in few months now you have to do the magic. अभी तो वो सोच ही रहा था मैंने ये क्या कर दिया. In the meanwhile, few Brahmin came to Mountbatten and said 15 अगस्त no sorry हमें नहीं आज़ादी चाहिए, शनि वक्री है, सैटर्न इज रेट्रोग्रेड, इंडिया बर्बाद हो जाएगा. वो कहता तुम्हारा दिमाग ठीक है, ऐसे नहीं होता. तब तो अनाउंसमेंट होगी. कहते चेक करो सर कुछ ऑप्शन. फिर देखा, ही सेड चेक इट आउट एट मिडनाइट, 14-15 की इंटरवीनिंग नाइट. और ये फैक्ट है, मजाक नहीं है. फिर उन्होंने पंडितों ने फटाफट टेवा बनाया, कहते हाँ फ्रीडम एट मिडनाइट. नाउ दैट्स द रीजन फॉर फ्रीडम एट मिडनाइट. फिर पंडित ही नहीं मान रहे थे तुम्हारे, कहते नहीं जी नहीं, शनि ठीक नहीं है, हमने नहीं आजाद होना. मतलब तुम्हारा दिमाग ठीक है, इतने साल लग गए तुम आजादी मांग रहे थे, अब मैं दे रहा हूँ तुम्हारा शनि ठीक नहीं है. कहते ना जी ना, आप ठीक करो, हम तो नहीं मान रहे अब. तो सिर्फ शनि वक्री होने के चक्कर में, रेट्रोग्रेड सैटर्न के चक्कर में तुम्हारी फ्रीडम एट मिडनाइट. जवाहरलाल नेहरू भी सोया सोया बोल गया, एट द स्ट्रोक ऑफ मिडनाइट आवर व्हेन द वर्ल्ड स्लीप. सब जाग रहे थे. अमेरिका में दिन था, ब्रिटेन में दिन था, जापान में दिन था. कहाँ रात थी? इंडिया में रात थी. वो एट द स्ट्रोक ऑफ मिडनाइट आवर व्हेन द वर्ल्ड स्लीप. बापू सारा देश जाग रहा है, सारी दुनिया जाग. कहना मैंने सुबह के लिए लिखी थी, मुझे नहीं पता, मैंने तो सुबह रात होना था. ये तो पंडितों ने कहा, तुम भी तो पंडित ही हो फिर, नहर वाले पंडित. वहीं से नेहरू पढ़ा है ना, हम नहर वाले पंडित. तो वैसे तो कहते हैं मुस्लिम फैमिली से भी हैं, और पता नहीं है कहाँ से आती है, कौन सी यूनिवर्सिटी की इंफॉर्मेशन है. अब माउंटबेटन कहता है देखो ऐसा है, पार्टीशन के लिए तो मानना पड़ेगा, यू हैव टू सेटल फॉर पार्टीशन. गांधी सेड देखो ऐसा है. हाँ जी बस निकल रहा हूँ, 2 मिनट 2 मिनट. आ गया बाय, आ गया बाय. तब ये कहता हूँ ना, गांधी सक्सेसफुल था, उसकी वाइफ का फोन नहीं आता था बीच में. मेरी वाइफ ने 2 मिनट नीचे आ जा, मैं तुम्हें लेके जाना किसे. अच्छा पहले देश आजाद कराओ फिर मैं जाता हूँ, मेरी आजादी तो खत्म है इसके बाद. आज मैंने इसलिए ब्रेक नहीं दी थी. अब क्या हुआ, माउंटबेटन सेड कि जैसे ही मैं इंडिया छोड़ूंगा, इफ यू डोंट एग्री फॉर पार्टीशन, तो मैं काम करूंगा, 562 प्रिंसली स्टेट्स हैं, सबको इंडिपेंडेंट देश बना दूंगा. इमेजिन अ सिचुएशन, पटियाला का अलग वीजा, फरीदकोट का अलग वीजा. किसी ने चंडीगढ़ आना इलांटे जाने वास्ते 5 ਤਾਂ ਵੀਜ਼ੇ ਲੈਣੇ ਪੈਣੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ. ਜੇ ਇੱਕ ਨੇ ਮਨਾ ਕਰਤਾ, ਉਹ ਬਹਿ ਗਿਆ ਉੱਥੇ, ਛੱਡੋ ਪਰਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਣਾ, ਰਹਿਣ ਦਿਓ. ਕਿੱਥੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ? ਕਿੱਥੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਯਾਰ, ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਬਸ ਬਠਿੰਡੇ ਤੋਂ ਹੀ ਆਣਾ ਸੀਗਾ. ਮੰਨਿਆ नहीं कोई मेरे वीजे वास्ते. अब माउंटबेटन ने जब बोला ना मैं सारे देशों को इंडिपेंडेंट बना दूंगा, नेहरू ने जाके माउंटबेटन से बात बिल्कुल नहीं करी. नेहरू ने एडवीना माउंटबेटन से बात करी. नेहरू सेड वी आर फ्रेंड्स. शी सेड यस. देन टेल योर हस्बैंड टू मेंड हिज वेज. तो एडवीना ने माउंटबेटन से कहा, कहती यू कांट डू दिस हार्म टू माय फ्रेंड. फिर माउंटबेटन ने प्लान चेंज किया, 3 जून ऑफिशियल प्लान, जिसके अकॉर्डिंगली फिर इंडिया को 15 अगस्त को इंडिपेंडेंस मिली. नाउ आई गिवन यू ऑल द सीक्वेंस ऑफ ऑल द इवेंट्स. कल से एक एक इवेंट, ये मेजर 20 इवेंट्स हैं, एंड वी विल राइट अ नोट ऑन ईच ऑफ दीज इवेंट्स along with some of the test every day objective and every 4th day subjective test. Done. आज के लिए सॉरी बाय, कल मिलेंगे. होम रूल लीग कॉलिंग नहीं है, होम मिनिस्टर कॉलिंग है. होम रूल लीग